It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. Mike Elgin's here, Brian McCullough, and Richard Campbell. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about AI. A big jury award for a victim of a Tesla crash, more than $240 million. Apple results, Google results, and Australia banning YouTube for people under 16. How's that going to go? All of that and more coming up next on Twit.
Podcasts you love
from people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twit, This Week in Tech, episode 1043, recorded Sunday, August 3rd, 2025. It all starts with Baby Shark. It's time for Twit This Week in Tech, the show we cover the latest tech news with a rotating panel of fine, industrious, smart, and connected journalists, starting with Mike Elgin in Oaxaca.
Two out of three ain't bad.
Which one aren't you?
Not sure.
I didn't add good looking, so we'll add you. You put you in the good looking box. His newsletter is at machinesociety.ai. He does podcasts. He does everything.
I do dishes. I do it all.
Yes, an excellent pizza cook too, I might add. Thank you for being here, Mike. It's nice to see you.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
A beautiful evening in Oaxaca, I'm sure.
Yes, it is.
Also joining us from, well, we're going to change the name. It used to be the Tech Meme Ride Home. Brian McCullough is here, the internet's historian, now the Tech Brew Ride Home. Is it a beer show?
Yeah, that was the original pitch. Somehow the name got through all of the various editorial meetings and things like that. No, it's the exact same show. Literally, the only thing even the music is the same. The only thing that is changing is at the beginning of every show, instead of saying Tech Meme Ride Home, I'm saying Tech Brew Ride Home.
Now part of the Morning Brew crew, which is fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is a excellent network of shows, growing apparently, so that's good. Also with us, one of our own. He is Richard Campbell. He doesn't do the beer, he does the whiskey. Host of Run As Radio and .NET Rocks, and of course, regular every Wednesday on Windows Weekly on this network. Hi, Richard.
Hi.
Just back off a boat.
Story at the end of this, if you like.
Okay. We can add some whiskey. You know, that's the one thing this show's been missing all this time. You were on a cruise over the week. In fact, we missed you on Windows Weekly. That's why I said, hey, but maybe we could get him off the boat and into the show on Sunday. And you very kindly left early, I think.
I just took the early exit. We had options. But, after a week on the boat, you're ready to get off anyway.
It was an Alaska cruise?
Yeah. This time out of Vancouver, which is nice. We did Sitka and Juneau and Ketchikan. And we also stopped at a new stop called Icy Strait, which is the local Tlingit band in Hoona, which is like 800 people. They've built out quite a little facility there now. And so
did you get to see the Mendenhall Glacier or any...
We didn't. We could see it from a distance from Juneau. There are warnings on that glacier today of potential glacial outbursts, which sound
that doesn't
dangerous.
sound good.
We were supposed to go up the Tracy Fjord, but it was all fogged in, and the glaciers are calving. And let's face it, ice and cruise ships,
not good. I think there's a history about that.
I made a whole movie about that sort of thing.
Yeah. Although I wouldn't mind meeting Kate Winslet, but perhaps not under those circumstances. Well, it's good to have you back on dry land and on the show today. Big story. In fact, I was having a dinner with Sam Abul Samad, our car guy who was in town driving some Hyundais around. When this story broke, a jury has ordered Tesla to pay more than $240 million in an Autopilot crash. Now, I'm sure Tesla will appeal this, but this is in Florida. They didn't find the Tesla, interestingly, 100% responsible. A driver was using full self-driving in a Tesla. This was a couple of years back. He dropped his phone.
Not a couple of years back. It's well back.
6 years back. Yeah. This case has been going on for 4 years. He dropped his phone, distracted, reached down to get it, thought he was cool because full self-driving was engaged. The car continued and ran into another car and hit and killed a pedestrian hit the car. The car hit a young couple who were stargazing, and one of them was killed. So the lawsuit came not from the driver. That's one thing that makes this unusual in Tesla lawsuits. Usually it's the driver or the driver's family if the driver's been killed in the accident. In this case, it was the family of the pedestrians who were killed. The driver was found partly responsible because he trusted full self-driving. The lawyers for the family of the deceased claimed that Tesla either hid or lost key evidence, including data and video recorded seconds before the accident. Tesla said, we made a mistake. After being shown the evidence, they said, no, honest, Your Honor, we thought it was gone.
We tried really hard.
We thought we deleted. I mean, we thought it was. The sister of the deceased says, we finally learned what happened that night. The car was actually defective. Tesla said, quote, this verdict is wrong. It only works to set back automotive safety. Not sure how you get there.
Wrong. Yeah.
And jeopardize Tesla's and the entire industry's effort to develop and implement life-saving technology. They said the plaintiffs concocted a story blaming the car when the driver from day one admitted and accepted responsibility. Tesla has to pay $43 million of a total $129 million in compensatory damages for the crash, plus a punitive award of $200 million.
Interestingly, they're going after the branding of this, and pointed out that other car companies don't use things like Autopilot or any sort of implication that it in fact is designed to be full self-driving, and so that's part of the blame. The idea that he was misled into thinking the car would handle it just based on what they call the feature.
The feature of full self-driving. This isn't, I think, was it Australia that says you can't call it full self-driving?
Right.
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 So there's always been this issue. It isn't full self-driving. It's driver assist.
No, but it's called Autopilot though, right?
Yeah.
And so
they
that's
literally
the problem.
you use the term FSD for full self-driving. Like they have been misnaming that product all along.
Yeah, and using the word autopilot, which is not. Tesla was partly at fault. It allowed the driver to act recklessly by not disengaging the autopilot as soon as the driver began to show signs of distraction. So that's why they were partially responsible. The driver said, I trusted the technology too much. I believed that if the car saw something in front of it, it would provide a warning and apply the brakes. No, it just plowed right into it was a parked vehicle it hit, by the way.
Right, which spun around, and then the spinning parked vehicle is what hit the victims.
Yeah.
And let's face it, any other cruise control would have stopped.
Yeah,
Like
my
even a
Toyota
normal-
would have stopped.
Right? Like,
So Tesla says, look, we tell drivers, you got to keep your eyes on the road and your hands on the wheel. We even check for that. And if you remove your hands from the wheel, we go, put your hands back. And they said the driver chose not to do that when he looked for the dropped cell phone, and added to the danger because he was speeding. Tesla said, look, he's gone through the same intersection 30 or 40 times previously and hadn't crashed, not once, until the final crash. He said the cause is not Tesla, but that the driver dropped his cell phone and stopped paying attention. This is, now I asked Sam about this because the key in this is that the jury found some, not all, not 100%, but some liability for Tesla, despite the driver saying, yeah, I wasn't looking. And he said that sets a precedent. And in fact, that's what this NPR story says. It despite the driver's admission of reckless behavior, poses significant legal risks for every company as develop cars that increasingly drive themselves.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a quote in the piece that says, from a lawyer, that says this will open the floodgates, and there's earlier in the piece suggestions that they're surprised that it came to trial because a lot of other cases haven't. Like I thought.
Well, that's what Tesla usually does.
Right.
And the reason they can do that is
Venue
because the people who are suing are usually the drivers of the car. So Tesla says, no, let's settle. But in this case, it wasn't. It was an innocent pedestrian victim not driving the car. And so apparently they weren't anxious to settle. So Tesla was not able to shut this down before discovery, which turned out not so good for Tesla, and the verdict. So a precedent.
And another interesting thing is, as I think we mentioned, this was 6 years ago, this accident, right? So the autopilot feature has gotten way better, we presume, right? Where are we at with that? Is it still? I mean, Elon Musk had been promising full self-driving mode for years and years, always saying, "Oh yeah, next year we'll have it." Are they getting close to full self-driving mode? I have no idea.
Sam, again, my car guy, Sam Abul-Samad, has told me he does not believe cars will ever get to full autonomy because while they can navigate 90%, maybe, soon 95, 99% of the situations, they can never be ready to handle every single weird, unexpected incident that happens.
But they just have to be safer than people, right? Because people that's
I think they already are
for people.
I think they already are. I mean, don't tell the pedestrian who was killed that, but
well, yeah,
that happens all the time, doesn't it? I hate to say it, but that happens all the time with cars driven by humans.
The dumb part with Tesla is they're insisting on using only cameras,
exactly,
no radar,
right?
Like just a forward-looking radar that would have stopped this. Like it's just that Elon gets these hangups and nobody can stop him. It's like we can do this with cameras, and he's killing people because of it.
I'm sure we've all been in a Waymo in San Francisco. It's amazing. I mean,
and they do use LiDAR, radar, and cameras.
Exactly.
All three.
They have a big rig on the top. It's they
look weird because of it.
Yeah. Yeah, they look weird, but it works. It works really well. I'm guessing that it's significantly safer than human drivers.
Hi, this is Benito. Already. So I was driving down the city in San Francisco yesterday, and so for a while I would have to take this route through the city where I would always be behind a Waymo, and it was like the worst thing ever.
If you're downtown, every third car is a Waymo. The first time I saw one, I said, "Oh, look, a Waymo," and then, "Oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another." They're everywhere.
But then all over. Then yesterday, while I was in the city, I noticed driving around Waymos, they drive a lot better now. Like they seem more like people. Like I'm not as pissed at them on the road anymore as I used to be. So I think that's an improvement.
Well, I mean, maybe that's kind of what Tesla was saying is, we're gonna have these judgments, but it slows down development because we got to get these things on the road so that they can get better. They can't get better in a test tube.
So that they have a budget of how many people to die?
Well, 50,000 people died in auto accidents typically every year in the United States, 1 million globally. That's not even newsworthy. It happens so often,
right?
But people are liable for those accidents. So like this is
but is liability the issue, or kind of let's make driving safer? That's really the ultimate issue. Is can we make driving safer?
People don't get to sign up for this. They're being done, and this has been happening to them against their will.
We're in a beta test that we never agreed to.
But plus, I don't really follow the argument. How is this slowing anything down?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
you can collect the data regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess. But if you're liable for every accident you cause, then maybe you're going to be less likely to. I think that's what Tesla's
you're likely to be more careful.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, maybe that's.
Yeah, but I mean, $200 million or whatever it is, $400 million. It's nothing for Tesla.
Tesla is going all in on the robotaxi. Here's a story from Forbes. Forget cars. Tesla's future is a robotaxi empire. He doesn't want to sell cars, apparently. Elon wants to sell robotaxis, but if they can't drive, right now these robotaxis are still in limited tests in just a handful of cities, although I guess they're coming to San Francisco, kind of using a loophole with DMV, because DMV is saying you can't test in San Francisco, California Department of Motor Vehicles. But because they have a safety driver, somehow they're getting away with it.
But the promise that Waymo specifically always used to make was, once we can prove this out, it's sort of like the restaurant franchise model. We can just copy the playbook city by city by city, and they're doing seemingly are. Like Atlanta, was it Dallas was the most recent one announced. So yeah, I mean, like putting the stupid history hat on for a second. If you go back and look historically at when automobiles first hit the scene, especially in the United States, the amount of carnage, and I'm talking running over pedestrians, running over horses, someone said that we're running a beta test on new technology that none of us signed up for, but that happened 100 years ago. That's
always what happens. Yeah.
Now, the mitigating point of that is, well, there were no laws. Like, you could run over a pedestrian and there was no law on the books that said, hey, by the way, you could be liable for that.
Well, in fact, and you probably know this, internet historian, the whole concept of jaywalking was created by auto manufacturers who wanted to make sure that pedestrians were held liable if they crossed the street at somewhere besides a crosswalk. There was no law against jaywalking until the auto industry pushed it.
If you look at those old-timey videos that people remaster and stuff on YouTube, and you look at a street before automobiles were huge, people used to go every which way all the time because everything was moving pretty slow, and people were cutting in front of cable car type things and horses and stuff like that. And
it's kind of like the roundabout in the Place de la Concorde in Paris.
Exactly.
It's just insane. Right?
And people got killed by horses too.
Exactly. Right. But over the decades, the concept of the road belonging to the cars, took hold, but it took decades for that psychological reality. Jaywalking laws were part of that, but nowadays, you basically, you'll cross, you'll jaywalk or whatever. Rarely, but back in the day, that was just how you got around town. You just go across the streets.
Going even further back, and correct me if I'm wrong, chat room, but the first fatality from a railroad running over somebody, a train running over somebody, was literally because trains were so new, moving at a speed that was faster than any humans had any context for. The reason the person got run over is because they couldn't imagine that the train would reach them as quickly as it did and didn't get out of the way. But I'm making that point to say that one of the things that I find compelling about the idea of, again, to use the term running a beta test on self-driving, is I've just given two examples of new technology that was, run out in the open as a beta test. Nobody signed up for it, but could get run over by it. This is a beta test that is being run with the explicit idea that this is going to be safer on the aggregate, on average. And so, as opposed to those previous times in history, again, like if the amount of deaths that happened for the miles driven on American roads versus miles flown on airlines, like airlines no one would fly, So like we have, someone made the point, Leo made the point, we accept the hundreds of thousands of deaths and maimings and things like that by the car being central to our society. And so the point of this technology is to improve that sort of horrific statistic.
Well, early flying was very dangerous.
That's true.
Also only for the wealthy.
Right.
So
so only if rich people died. If we could just work on that wouldn't be so bad. I could. No, that's so mean. Anyway, this is why it's complicated. It's a complicated thing.
I'm still surprised that they didn't settle out. Like I'm
sure they tried. I'm sure they tried.
And I also wonder if Elon was just too distracted. Like, look at the timing of this.
Maybe. Yeah. Good point. Apple's biggest revenue growth since December 2021. This is not typically a big quarter for Apple. This is the not quite the worst quarter. Next quarter will be the slowest quarter, but it's far enough from the release of a new iPhone that it's not typically a big quarter. But it is a big quarter for Apple. Sales of the iPhone grew 13% year over year. Overall revenue grew 10%. Its largest quarterly revenue growth since 2021. Of course, some of that is services. The service revenue might be in jeopardy depending on what the courts do with Google's $20 billion a year payment to Apple for making Google search the default on the iPhone. Apple shares, of course, went up. Apple, I think, is now a $4 trillion company. I haven't checked lately.
And the services bump was tiny compared. It was mostly iPhone sales,
which is interesting because we're an off quarter for iPhone.
No, but what was happening is all the talk about tariffs and,
it's a tariff bump,
raising the prices. People were getting one while they were still
that makes sense.
Prices.
And also, or a Mac or an iPad, like all of them took unusual bumps. And I think it was just, hey, if you were going to buy one this year, you should buy it now.
Well, Apple did say that tariffs in the June quarter cost it $800 million. That was a little lower than the $900 million they were saying they might have to pay.
But they're expecting more next quarter.
Yeah, $1.1 billion next quarter. Interesting that they're going to absorb some of those costs. This is what the president wants companies to do.
Yeah.
Doesn't want them to pass the tariff costs along to customers. But there's only a limited amount of profit any company's willing to give up. And Apple, even with its massive margins, I'm sure still passes along more than half of the cost of tariffs.
Just to focus on the negative for a second, do we have any sense of why iPad revenue was down 8%?
The analysts say because they didn't have an iPad Pro to sell this quarter. And, typically this is a slow quarter because people are aware that in September, Apple will announce new iPhones and possibly in October, new iPads. So it is typically a fairly slow quarter, as next quarter is as well. I think you nailed it, though. There was the expectation of tariffs brought people to the store.
Yeah.
Cook said about one of the company's 10 percentage points of revenue growth could be attributed to that.
Yeah.
So that's 10% of 10%.
It's rare when politics, political conversation. Of course, the idea was that there were going to be material, tariffs, but usually affects gun sales, not phone sales.
Right.
Every time there's an election, one side always says the other side is going to take away all your guns, and so people go buy a gun before it gets taken away or whatever.
Good.
And so,
as a result, we have a per capita average of 4 or 5 guns.
Although it's only 20% that own a gun, right? Like it's really
right.
oddly.
The people who own them own a lot of them.
Lots of them.
Because they keep buying one every election. iPhone revenue was strong, said Tim Cook, because his thought is because the iPhone 16 is more popular than the 15 was. iPhone 16 sales up strong double digits versus the predecessors. Mac business grew fastest of any of Apple's units, 15%. Why do you think that is, Mr. PC? Richard Campbell?
I think definitely was the tariff bump, but let's face it, that Mac is a gorgeous machine. It's the best computer on the planet right now. There's nothing even comes close.
The MacBook Air is its best-selling Mac.
So if you're digging for a reason to buy a machine, tariffs is a good excuse, whether they're real or not. And that's the best computer on the planet. Why wouldn't you buy it?
But by the way, Leo, Apple is not even close to 4 trillion. It's down at 3 trillion. It's down significantly for a year to date. So
I'm sorry. Maybe it was NVIDIA. Somebody went to 4
No,
trillion.
it was Microsoft.
Microsoft is beating Apple?
Yep, by $1 trillion.
Yeah.
Wow. I apologize. Yeah, that's right. Microsoft did the 4T. Apple's services business was up 13%, $27.42 billion. Cook said its growth in the iCloud subscriptions and App Store revenue, despite the fact that the App Store is under assault in the EU. And wearables didn't do so hot. I'm not sure why that is. Apple's wearable unit declined 8.64%. China slightly up, which is important to Apple.
Is the Vision Pro considered a wearable?
Yeah, I think the Vision Pro is a wearable.
They probably had an artificial bump the previous year, which they didn't have this year.
Yeah, because that came out last year. Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah,
they stopped talking about the return numbers on the Vision Pro too. So
that's a bad sign. Yeah, we knew there were a lot, at least in previous reports. Revenue $94 billion. Microsoft had a good quarter too, didn't they? And Google had a spectacular quarter. So, despite the fact that the stock market has been taking a hit in the tech sector, These companies are doing okay. iPhone no longer more than half of Apple's revenue, surprisingly.
In both the cases of Google and Microsoft, it's because it's the AI stuff. It's their cloud.
Yeah, it's all
arms.
about AI, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, basically killing it in terms of like it. Actually, weirdly, Amazon was the one that AWS was not reporting as good numbers as Microsoft and Google did for their cloud AI stuff. But the thing that Tim Cook said on the earnings call that'll get them back to get them to $4 trillion would be, he said, on AI, Apple is, quote, very open to M&A that accelerates our roadmap vis-a-vis AI. So, I mean, look, if they come out tomorrow and say, hey, we just acquired Perplexity, hey, we just acquired, God forbid, Anthropic, which they could do.
They've got the cash.
Yeah,
God knows.
and Anthropic's raising right now, so this would be the time to go ahead.
I don't think Anthropic's for sale, do you?
I don't.
Perplexity for sure.
Perplexity for sure. And actually, doesn't Apple have a deeper relationship with Perplexity at the moment? So
Eddie Q said in the testimony in the Epic trial that, in fact, they were looking at acquiring Perplexity. They do have a relationship with Perplexity. And it would make sense because what Perplexity primarily is, and I love it, by the way, I use it, is a search tool. Yeah. And that's what Apple would really like to have, is a kind of an AI search tool. I think everybody, Google included,
their principal interface is the phone. Like, it's the best fit you could find.
Yeah, it's a natural, isn't it?
Yeah, they do things hooking into the phone that Siri doesn't even do in terms of agency and stuff like that through Perplexity. That's a great app.
This is just a number. This is what is the number the investors will accept from Apple to make this happen. It's probably too high.
According to Mark Gurman, who every Sunday writes his rumor newsletter, the Power On newsletter for Bloomberg, Apple has a new team called the Answers team. This is where John Giandrea apparently went. He was the big acquisition from Google, who turned out not to be such a star at Apple and has been kind of pushed aside. He's still doing research. So this is a new team, the Answers team, that will Answers Knowledge and Information, or short is AKI. Gurman says, this group, I'm told, is exploring a number of in-house AI services with the goal of creating a new ChatGPT-like search experience.
And this is the right thing for Apple to do to get the Perplexity price down. Yeah, right? Like, you point. Show you've got X many months to make this deal before I have a competitor and I don't need you anymore.
Number of people from the formerly of the Siri team, the Siri is no longer a candidate to become a ChatGPT-like anything, including Robbie Walker. He's now the senior director of the AKI team, reporting to John Giandrea. In fact, I think a number of the Siri people have ended up on this AKI team. You're right. I'm going to guess it's more like a skunkworks, where they're doing something maybe with the eye towards bringing the price down on Perplexity. That makes sense.
All the other reporting is about how, I mean, we know that Zuck is hiring everybody he can in AI, even offering $1.5 billion to.
Yeah, we'll get to that story. Yes, no kidding.
But it's the foundation model team at Apple that apparently has lost so many people in recent times, and the reporting from the information that I did this week on the show was sort of that. The talent problem is not just that people would leave Apple, it's that the people that are still, since no one really knows what Apple's strategy is, that's kind of why they should just pull the trigger and buy somebody else. Like, if this is the direction we're going in, then you could probably retain talent even if you don't, increase their salaries and things like that. If you just tell them, okay, this is where we're going, this is what we're going to do, and people internally don't have that sense yet, apparently.
Yeah.
On Friday,
people want to make something, and if you don't give them a path to make something, they're going to go somewhere they can make something.
Well, they're trying to keep people in the fold. On the information reported that on Friday, Tim Cook at an all hands meeting told employees, Apple has exciting plans I can't discuss.
With his own people.
You need to read in some of those people really quickly, because $300 million is very enticing.
Yeah.
All of this has to be quite disturbing to Apple. I mean, I'm sorry, to Google, because Google has always had a privileged relationship with Apple and iPhones. And if Apple is maybe buying Perplexity, maybe re-engineering Siri to become a search engine and so on, they're going to have no use.
But this is also
Google
the
on
time
iPhone.
because they might lose the contract.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
build your own search. Now's the time.
Yeah, because the government won't let you do that anymore.
Right. This is, by the way, the first time they've had an all hands apparently in years, according to the information, probably because of leaks, which is why Tim's not completely candid with his own people. He tells the staff, AI is, quote, ours to grab. It's ours to grab. Ours, O-U-R-S, not H-O-U-R-S. Important distinction.
But now you're trying to grab a train that's whizzing by.
He says the AI revolution is as big or bigger as the internet, smartphones, cloud computing, and apps. I think we'd all agree that. He says, quote, and this is again a leak from the All Hands. Bloomberg got this one. Apple must do this. Apple will do this. This is very Churchillian. This is sort of, he just blew it.
We will grab them on the beaches. We will grab them.
Grab. This is sort of. See, I don't think Churchill would have thrown the sort of in. Ours to grab. We will make the investment to do it. So it'll be interesting. We've rarely been first, he told staffers. There was a PC before the Mac. There was a smartphone before the iPhone. There were many tablets before the iPad. There was an MP3 player before the iPod. He's basically saying, yeah, we don't always have the winning horse, at least not the first horse over the finish line, but we'll win in the long run. He says, we invented the modern versions of these products. And this is how I feel about AI. This is a pep talk. This is not a planning meeting. This is him trying to keep everybody happy before they go to work for Zuckerberg.
But also, if I know Apple, and of course we all know Apple very well and how they think about things, to date, people think of AI chatbots as like, okay, here's a chatbot and here's a search engine. We're going to use the chatbot like it's a search engine, or we're going to use a RAG system like Perplexity that's kind of both a search engine and a chat. Apple's, with their name Answers, right? They're going to say, they're not going to have this thing that's like, okay, here's a chatbot, here's a personal assistant. It's basically going to be whatever, to all the above, but it's just going to be a person answering your questions, and hopefully they'll make it personalized, right? Keep all the personal data in there on the phone and so on. And this falls really neatly in with the glasses they've been working on forever and probably won't see till the end of next year. So this is really the killer app. And I think they understand that. The killer app is going to be a personal assistant with omniscience and that knows all about you, that lives on your glasses. And that's
Let me ask you guys this, because I think part of the reason for this all hands is that I feel like maybe, and I want to know what you guys think, we are on the cusp of a big breakthrough in AI. Like, I don't know if it's ChatGPT-5. I don't know if it's Google, but it feels like we are really, this is almost the eve of, dare I say it, AGI. Is that, no? You disagree, Richard?
I think we're hitting the bottom of the trough of disillusionment is what you're feeling. Is there,
that we're actually as bad as it can get? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we're sort of getting to the point where it's like, okay, we see the limits now. These things are good at some things and they're not good at other things, and get real.
But don't you, look at people who are doing vibe coding at this point are saying, hey, I'm not going to have a job in senior software engineers. I'm not going to have a job in a couple of years. This stuff is so good. Google is clearly terrified it's going to lose its hegemony in search. That's why they added these kind of not so good AI, whatever it is, garbage to its search results. I think there's a lot of fear in Silicon Valley that ChatGPT or Anthropic or somebody is, or maybe the Chinese, because we're seeing some really strong models from China right now, small and interestingly open weight models from China right now that are in some respects beating the best models we have, the best closed source models we have. We're seeing both ChatGPT and Gemini, score gold in the International Math Olympiad. We're seeing better and better benchmarks all the time. You think we're at the bottom of the trough?
Yeah.
I feel like this could be the crest of the wave, where maybe that's the same thing. I don't know. You disagree, Brian?
No, I agree with Richard in the sense that, I mean, again, this is all definitions of buzzwords and stuff, so we can debate these things. But if it's AGI that's like going to cure cancer and give us nuclear fusion and maybe kill us all, versus, well, if it's the bottom of the trough of disillusionment, you don't necessarily, I'm not one of those people that thinks that AGI is right around the corner, but it could be sort of like a 1996 period when people are like, there's this thing called broadband, and 3 or 4 years down the road, imagine the things you can do on the web. Like, so the bottom of the trough of disillusionment is
the beginning of reality.
Of, right, what the actual, where the technology is, what actually gaining traction in actual mainstream ways. It's not just people dialing into AOL. It is people saying, oh, you can run entire businesses on the web. You can do look at all the things that we can do with telecommunications. It's actually the rubber hitting the road, even without GPT-5 becoming self-aware.
Yeah, I don't know if GPT-5
and let's face it, the rate of
improvement
improvement is slowing, right? Like they're not getting, absolutely.
I feel like we're also seeing some hints of self-improving AI. I'm hearing that phrase as well, which would be a hockey stick if that happens. Mike, what do you cover this in your machine intelligence newsletter? What do you think?
I mean, I think we're on the brink of a cultural transformation that results from the ubiquitous application of AI.
More like what Brian was talking about that happened with the internet, where it's becoming ubiquitous now.
Another analogy would be electricity, right? So you had electrical systems being developed in the 1830s and 40s, and for a long time it was the telegraph, and then eventually cities started getting lights that didn't have, dangerous gas lines going under the city to power the lights, and by the time the revolution was happening, it was something of a banality. The revolution was a toaster and, an alarm clock that, that you didn't have to wind.
Okay.
Like that,
but if you were, if you were a woman in the Appalachians or in the Texas Hill Country, if you were a woman in the Texas Hill Country, the Appalachians, who was going 3 or 4 times a day to drag gallons of water back to the house for your family, or hand washing your clothes in a stream, electricity was a massive revolution. It changed your life and your future.
Well, and I think that's going to be
much more than a lamp.
Right. But I mean, if you think about the potential for what AI can do for an entrepreneur, right? A one or two person business, right? That is a real, a major thing. They can do marketing. They can do marketing in 100 languages. They can, there's so many applications for AI for small businesses that they are the Appalachian housewives of our era, right? Because their whole lives are going to be, they're going to be able to do things they previously couldn't even have imagined.
Well, put me down for, I think we are about to see a phase change and a sudden shift, a paradigm shift, something hockey stick like. You guys all think it's going to be incremental and it's going to become more ubiquitous. I feel like we're on the edge of a big, unpredictable phase change. That's just it's just a feeling.
Probably, I mean, if we do, it'll probably have something to do with agentic AI sort of operating
and self-improving AI.
Yeah.
And models and tools beyond large language models.
Mm-hmm.
I think that people are working very hard, and in many cases not publicly, on new developments that could very well change everything, kind of like the discovery of the atomic bomb.
It doesn't have to be uniform either, in the sense that the things that have been moving so fast just in the last 6 months have been around video, where now we're used to, you can create 5 seconds of really impressive video around anything, and then you stitch it together and you can make 30 seconds and then 3 minutes, and then things like video, I feel like in 18 months it's over. You can do
look what VO3 can do. Is that not almost a phase change? I mean, I think we're getting a little complacent, because it was a couple of years ago, everybody had 7 fingers and Will Smith's spaghetti was all over the place. And in just a couple of years, massive improvements. My feeling is we're actually about to hear it. shift even into a whole new gear. But maybe that's.
I have a question for you about this.
Benito is skeptical.
I have a question about
what are
you
you calling?
What
are you calling it? Vibe?
Vibe futurism. Vibe futurism.
Vibe futurism.
My question is, do you think VO is going to be free forever? Because how much do you think that's actually going to cost when they're going to actually start charging people for that? Do you think it's really going to be free forever?
Well, I think another thing we don't know, first of all, the real cost, as we know, of AI is in training, not in use. Okay.
Not anymore. Inference is now it has become the most expensive part of that. Yeah.
Really? Interesting.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's a big shift.
And the best programmers I know utilizing these tools, the guys that are doing
running out of credits.
They're doing a 6-week sprint in 3 days. Like they're doing tremendous levels of productivity, and they are spending thousands a month. And you know what? It's worth it.
Yes.
Also, not enough. Right. They're still getting, even with as much as they're spending, they're still getting cut off because it's still costing the company more than what the company is charging them.
See, this right there. This is the problem. I don't think this is never going to be free forever. So how is this going to actually make economical sense?
First of all, I don't think you could predict this because there's a huge financial incentive for these companies to come up with more efficient ways to do this. And I think the Chinese companies actually have found small models, have found ways to do this with less.
To be clear, the Chinese have never done anything efficiently. They don't actually.
They don't need to. There's no incentive for them.
Exactly. But also, Benito, it can be free things can be free for a very long time if the people offering them for free believe that this is a generational land grab where I need to train the filmmakers, the coders, the whomever to use my tools. It'll be free for as long as it takes before they have to, once they have their moat, then they'll charge you.
Uber rides were way below cost for almost a decade, sometimes to acquire a market. And the upside, look, maybe this is all going to crash and burn. But the upside, if AGI, if ASI, if really capable AIs come down the road, is so big that a lot of VCs, a lot of companies, look how much money.
So it's the drug dealer model. Your first hit's free.
Well,
you're such a skeptic.
It's
good. I surround myself with skeptics because I've got a feeling I can't hide.
You know what, Benito, here's the best test is the mom test for things like, well, my mom will never have an iPhone or a smartphone. And then one day your mom calls you from the iPhone. Or my accountant will never, bill me from the web or have a website. And then, now your accountant does everything virtually. So the day that your mom has a Claude subscription, a ChatGPT subscription of $20, $50 a month, that's when you know that the jig is up.
Oh, I don't think that'll happen. And I don't think I think that's an old way of looking at things, mass adoption. I don't know if this is a mass adoption product at all.
I think the answers, $20 a month for answers.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I pay $25 a month for a better Google search for Coggy.
Exactly.
Well, and you're pressing against the other issue, which is that the internet free model has been unraveling for a while.
That's right.
This is an amplifier of that.
Yeah. All right. We have to take a break because this internet is not free. Your attention is all you have to pay. It's great to have you guys talking me off the ledge. Mike Elgin, his MachineSociety.ai talks about this every single day. It's fantastic. And you do a show with Emily Forlini, who we love. And of course, he's also in Oaxaca getting ready for another gastro-nomad adventure.
This is true.
We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Great to have you. Brian McCullough with a new home. He's part of the Morning Brew crew at the Tech Brew Ride Home. Now, you don't have to change your subscription. If you subscribe to the Tech
Absolutely not. All that happened was the art changed. The name that I say at the beginning of this show changes. The music's the same. The advertisers should be getting better, but it's just the same thing I've done for almost 8 years now, over 2,100 episodes.
Wow! Wow!
Just Tech Brew Ride Home instead of Tech Meme Ride Home. And by the way, amazing. Love Tech Meme, love Gabe, love all the people there. Just potentially a new audience for me to reach. That's it.
Now you like this guy named Axel, and I ain't talking Axl Rose. I'll tell you that right now. It's great to hear this, Brian. You deserve the success. Also, our dear friend Richard Campbell, who was just off the boat.
And staring episode 1000 a run as in the face too.
Hey, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, podcasting, I think is going to be big pretty soon. So
One of these days.
we're in the right
catch up.
position here. Actually, that's one of our stories today. We'll talk about the new kinds of podcasting. But first, a word from our sponsor. It's my little Thinkst Canary. See this little doohickey there? It's sitting on my desk. It's about the size of a external USB drive. It's connected. In fact, if you saw this, you'd say, well, that just looks like you got something connected to the internet there. It's got a Ethernet connection and power, but oh no, to you, it may look like a little box, but to the bad guy, that looks like a Windows share. Oh, you know what? I'm going to make this one SharePoint. Let's invite the bad guys in. This is the interface to the Thinkst Canary. This allows you to take this, it's a honeypot, and make it anything you want. Right now, Windows Server 2019 Office file share. But if I want to configure it, I can change it to almost anything I want, including, let's make it something really, really vulnerable. MS SharePoint 2010. Now, what's good about this, it has a Microsoft MAC address. Everything changes. Actually, this is a Hewlett-Packard MAC address because it's Hewlett-Packard hardware. But it's not. It just looks that way. To the bad guy, it looks like something delicious, something valuable, something not vulnerable, not a honeypot, but something they might want to attack. You can also create something called canary tokens, little tripwires. Your Thinkst Canary will phone home if anyone opens any of these files. And by the way, they can be anything from a API key to a credit card to an Azure login certificate. They can be a spreadsheet, a Word document. But the minute a bad guy, so I can tell you because you're friends, you're not bad guys. I have a few Excel documents spread around, including on my Google Drive and my OneDrive, that say things like employee payroll information. No hacker could resist that. Why do you need these? Because frankly, you can have all the security in the world, all the perimeter defenses, but how do you know if a bad guy gets into your network? These Thinkst Canaries are honeypots. They can be deployed, you saw, in minutes. But if someone is accessing your Lure files or brute forcing that fake SharePoint server, your Thinkst Canary will immediately tell you have a problem. There are no false alerts. If you get an alert from your Thinkst Canary, there's somebody in your network. A malicious insider is probing your ports, or you got a bad guy who got through your perimeter defenses. Here's the bad news. On average, it takes companies 91 days to know they've been breached. 3 months for a bad guy to wander around in your network, look at everything, look for places to place ransomware, time bombs to exfiltrate emails or customer records. How embarrassing is that? These Thinkst Canaries are so easy. You choose a profile. You saw how easy that was. And then you register it with a hosted console for monitoring and notifications. And the notifications can be any way you want. Your Thinkst Canary can send you a text message, an email. It can use syslog, you webhook, Slack. There's an API. You can even create your own interfaces. You can have them all. Then you just sit back and relax. Attackers who have breached your network or malicious insiders, any other adversaries cannot help but make themselves known by accessing your Thinkst Canary or those Thinkst Canary Lure files. I love this thing. Big banks might have dozens of them. You should probably have one for every segment for sure. I'll give you an example. Visit canary.tools/twit, canary.tools/twit. Get 5 of them for $7,500 a year. That includes your own hosted console, your upgrades, your support, your maintenance, all the alerts in any way you want. And if you use the code TWIT in the How Did You Hear About Us box, you're going to get 10% off for life. But if you say, I want to try before I buy, you can. They have a very generous 2-month money-back guarantee for a full refund, 60 days. I have to tell you, though, we've been doing these ads for 8 years, and all that time, that refund has never been claimed. Nobody's ever asked for the money back, because once you get a Thinkst Canary, you go, God, how do I live without it? Visit canary.tools/twit. Enter the code TWIT in the How Did You Hear About Us box. Canary.tools/twit. Don't forget that offer code TWIT. You need this thing. You really do. Thank you, Thinkst, for long-term support. By the way, the DOJ is still going after Apple. Not one more Apple story. They sued Apple last year, saying you illegally monopolize the smartphone market. Apple says, Apple says this threatens. It's a dangerous precedent and allowing the government to take a heavy hand in designing people's technology. The filing this week by Apple responded to every point the DOJ made in its complaint. The DOJ says Apple stifles the success of super apps or apps that offer multiple services on one platform, maybe like Epic or Microsoft wanting to do a game store, which Apple won't let them do. The company says our rules allow and support such apps. Is that true, Richard?
I don't think so.
No. I don't think so.
Sure.
They say a multitude are available right now on the App Store. I don't think not the Microsoft Xbox Game Store, not the Steam Store, not the Epic Store. Apple also denied the DOJ's allegation that it blocks cloud streaming games. It says, oh no, we allow game streaming over the web and in the App Store. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all the points. Apple is simply not a monopolist. Apple said. It also it says how can you even say we have a monopoly? The only way the DOJ could do this is by creating a separate category from smartphones called performance smartphones, which Apple says does not correspond to economic reality. I think they've got a good point there. In order to make a monopoly.
This is not how you go after Apple, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like you run out of good ideas, so you're working your way through the bad ideas.
The lawsuit heads to the point that I'm sure Apple would like it or prefer it not to, which is the discovery phase. It was in discovery that we learned so much about how Apple works behind the scenes in the Apple Epic lawsuit. If ever Apple could get out of that, I'm sure they would. But here it comes, and that'll be good for us. We'll have stuff. I was
going to say that's only good for us.
Gives us things to say. We learned so much stuff last time. All right, we talked about Apple's earnings. Alphabet also had a good quarter. Actually, Alphabet had an exceptional quarter.
When you can't attribute to tariffs.
No, that's right. They're a services company. Their overall revenue, 14% growth, which beat Wall Street's guess by quite a bit. Revenue, $96.4 billion. Advertising revenue was $9.8 billion, a big jump. Cloud revenue up to $13.6 billion. Very, very successful. What was the profit? It was something
28.2 billion.
28. That's just for 12 weeks.
Yeah.
That's more than $2 billion a week in profit after tax. Profit.
They made $10 billion in YouTube advertising, up 13%.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. But YouTube is really, I think what's safe to say at this point, has become the dominant way people consume video. Yes?
100%.
Over TV, over cable, over everything.
I mean, all of the numbers bear that out. Like you have a story on the spreadsheet here about like, oh, this is how young people watch video now or present. But that doesn't even matter. Like they beat. Remember when Netflix used to say our real competition is not HBO, it's video games, it's your real life, it's your spouse. Mm-hmm. You know, like YouTube is just killing everybody in that metric of like, if you're going to spend time, like it's now YouTube and basically TikTok, you know, like if in terms of time spent not doing something functional, just sitting back and consuming.
From the Financial Times, younger people now turn on YouTube in the UK above any channel on their television sets. This is the UK's media watchdog reporting, not even YouTube. 1 in 5 of those born after 2010, Gen Alpha, turned to YouTube first on their TV. Us old folks, people over 55, doubled their time on the service.
That's their growing demo by
old
far.
People?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, because we didn't watch YouTube because we didn't have YouTube, you know.
Hey, listen, last time my parents were in our house, I realized my dad was a full-on YouTube convert.
No kidding.
For the reason that he became an eBay convert 20 years ago, because he loves 1970s era stereos. And there are multiple creators on YouTube with millions of followers that have channels devoted just to 1970s era audio equipment.
That's the real secret of YouTube. The way they beat the networks is in niche programming. I mean, they are able to touch everybody's particular interest.
Remember when the complaint with cable was too many, 500 channels on?
Try 5 billion.
Yeah.
Across all age groups in the UK, now the second most watched TV service behind the BBC, ahead of ITV. Part of the reason Ofcom, the British regulator, is looking at this is because they, of course, want to regulate it. Mm-hmm. Australia has now, and this has got to be controversial, they have a teen social media ban. YouTube was exempted, no longer. In Australia, if you are under, 16? You can't watch YouTube. How's that going to work?
Good luck with that.
Well, they also, YouTube and Google generally, they're using AI now to, even if you lie about your age, they're going to try to catch you and change the content you could view.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. According to the Australian government, the internet regulator, their survey found 37% of minors reported harmful content on YouTube. Is YouTube a threat to young people?
Oh, hell yeah. Listen, with an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old, 1,000%.
Yeah. What is it? They're not just watching Coco Melon.
Listen, man, they might start there. You know how it works.
Yeah. And then is it the recommendation engine that's a problem?
Yeah, but and even there's the YouTube Kids app
filter. Yeah.
But I think I've told the story on this pod before, but one day I'm walking through the room and I can't remember what they were into, Bluey or whatever it was at the time, and the Bluey family's in a car going through a McDonald's drive-through, and the drive-thru's on fire, and there's gunshots. And I'm like,
God, yeah, you mentioned that. That's right. Yeah,
like
that's AI slop, right?
Well, but this was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
like they've gone out of Bluey. Yeah, no, but that's the point.
It all starts with Baby Shark, and it just goes downhill from there.
Well, or they're all into watching people play Minecraft or whatever video game
play
online
along stuff,
and then you get the next influencer that is cursing, and then the next one that is there's no way
YouTube used to demonetize you if you had F words within the first few minutes. They backed down even on that. Maybe they figure we're just going to.
What's happening is the ad revenues come back. Like the bigger thing with YouTube is the adpocalypse is finally over.
Is it? Right. Yeah, obviously that number you told me proves it.
A few years ago, there was a couple of events where the most influential YouTubers did inappropriate things for views, and the ads ran screaming because their customers freaked out, and ads changed utterly for a while. And a lot of YouTubers dropped out. The stress went way up. The incomes went way down. And that's winding down. The YouTubers have changed. The formats have changed. The number of products is diversified. And the new filtering tools work in a different way. And so the ad revenue is flowing back in. And so YouTube's reducing the constraints and encouraging more things because they need to place more ads.
Jay, who is ironically watching us on YouTube right now, says, as a parent, I can definitely say YouTube Shorts are 100% not regulated or monitored, and that's how kids get around the age restrictions on videos. So that's an issue. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said, I'm calling time on it. I want Australian parents to know we have their backs. YouTube responds, by the way, the ban will take effect in December. YouTube responds by saying, we're watched by nearly 3/4 of Australians in the aged 13 to 15 bracket. 75%. We should not be classified as social media because our main activity is hosting videos. They were exempt as a video hosting company, not a social.
So make them liable for the content they show. Mm-hmm. If you're a video hoster, television stations can't show this stuff. So give them the same rules. If that's what you're going to be, and follow the rules. You've been using social media as the cover to not have to follow the rules. Now you're calling yourself a broadcaster.
Now we're not.
You got to follow broadcaster rules.
YouTube says, our position remains clear. YouTube is a video sharing platform with a library of free, high-quality content increasingly viewed on TV screens. It's not social media.
Yeah.
It is true that a lot of the content is consumed in the living room on the big screen TV.
Yeah, I love the idea of them being regulated like a broadcaster. Let's see how they like that.
Well, the reason broadcast, at least in the U.S., I don't know what it is in Australia, but the reason broadcasters are regulated in the U.S. is because they use the public's airwaves.
Yeah, but then
the internet has historically
right?
never been regulated for content, and this is where our problem lies, right?
The elephant in the living room, of course, is TikTok, which I assume is treated as a social network, and that's really the alternative. You mentioned that. What did you say? 3/4 of Australian youths are using YouTube, but the other quarter are probably on TikTok primarily. So, TikTok is vastly worse for kids because it's just such crack cocaine, just go swiping through.
It's crack for all of us.
On YouTube, at least you can go and you can learn how to fix the sink, and people use it, they search for content they're looking for, whereas on TikTok, they don't do that so much. Right. So I think the main use of TikTok is just let the algorithm control my brain for the next 2 hours. Whereas YouTube is only like that for some people some of the time.
The law passed last year only requires, quote, reasonable steps by social media platforms to keep out Australians younger than 16 or face a fine of 49.5 million Australian dollars, which Google could easily pay given they're making $2 billion a week.
Yeah.
Is it per person?
And it's per offense, so that could be per person.
That could add up.
Yeah.
The problem is, of course, we don't have a good way to do age verification. Google says it's working on a way to do it just by looking at your head.
Now, there was a whole bunch of other signals that they're throwing it to AI to say, okay, sure, you gave us a birth date, but then like what you're watching, like what else your account is doing, we're going to.
But it might be sufficient to satisfy this Australian rule, which is, well, we're doing what we can. YouTube said it's beginning to roll out age estimation technology in the U.S. to identify teen users. Let me see if this is from
They're
TechCrunch.
also offering up the ability to verify your age, showing IDs. Like
so it says if the new system incorrectly identifies you as under 18, you'll be given the option to verify your age with a credit card, government ID, or selfie. So they're not asking kids to verify.
No.
They're only asking people who say
they're finding a way to get regulators to not require them to check everybody's ID.
Right. Which should
so
be better than
the mechanism to say we're going to do it automatically. If it doesn't work, then we'll check your ID.
Yeah.
That way we don't have to check everybody's ID, which is what they really don't want to do. It's expensive.
So it says in this TechCrunch article, YouTube isn't sharing specifics about the signal it's using to infer a user's age. Notes that it will look at some data like YouTube activity and the longevity of a user's account. Yeah, if your account's more than 20 years old, you're definitely over 18.
Probably good.
The new system, this is interesting. The new system will only apply to signed-in users. Oh, I didn't know this. Signed-out users already can't access age-restricted content. Brian, do you have any insight into how they're going to do this?
No, because it's been like a wave around the world of this age-restricted stuff. In Britain, the porn stuff, and you got to use VPNs, and state by state in the United States or whatever. It is weird. Or not weird, but I guess it's just sort of the accumulation of time. But the fact that all around the world, this sort of, hey, let's go ahead and start age verifying and keeping the kids off of the socials, or at least throwing sort of, soft padded walls around the kids on the socials. Like it's really happened in the last 6 months.
But of course, nobody's better than a 16-year-old or a 14-year-old at figuring out how to get around these restrictions. In fact, according to Ars Technica, VPN use soars in the UK after their age verification laws go into effect. Proton says our signups in the UK increased 1,400%. Is that sufficient to use a VPN? I guess you could say, well, I'm not coming in from the UK. I'm coming in from Rome or somewhere.
Right. You pick a country that has the laws that you want to be governed by. Italy actually requires parental consent for anyone.
Oh, so Rome would be bad. Okay.
Yeah, Rome would be bad.
You better pick an English-speaking language, because even an AI could figure out, hey, you're only watching.
Oh, good point.
Right.
It'll be one of those things
from China.
Like how Tuvalu or whatever that island nation is that has made all the money. Yeah. So they'll become the VPN center of the world because they'll be like
I'm watching from Barbados, man.
Yeah.
I'm a 21-year-old Barbadian. Windscribe VPN posted a screenshot on X claiming to show a spike in new subscribers. AdGuard VPN claimed they've seen a 2.5 times increase in install rates since the law went into effect a week ago Friday. Proton said just a few minutes after the Online Safety Act went into effect, our signups surged by 1,400%.
When did they put age restrictions on VPNs?
Well, that's what China does. Well, no, China just bans them outright, don't they?
Yeah.
As does Russia. Nord says there's been a 1,000% increase in purchases. So, yeah.
But it is an interesting problem.
Themselves.
There's a global demand for age verification, and you can do all kinds of things, but ultimately, 12-year-olds and 11-year-olds and 10-year-olds don't have credit cards, driver's licenses, or ID or anything like that. They have library cards, maybe. So it's a difficult problem, but I think ultimately they're going to. It's going to be AI. We're talking about how AI is just going to be everywhere. I think this is one of the things that AI is going to have to be a big part of, just that'll look at you and decide how old you are.
Ironically, given how much of an accelerationist I am based on my earlier comments, these are exactly the things AI should not be allowed to do.
Right.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Let's take a little break. More to come. You're watching This Week in Tech with Mike Elgin, Brian McCullough, and of course, our great friend, Richard Campbell. If you haven't seen his 3.5-hour PC build from last week, what he did in the club,
that long.
You got to be in the club to see this stuff. By the way, we thank our club members. We stream all these club events live on 8 different platforms: YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, X.com, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Kick. In fact, we're streaming right now on those platforms. But after the PC build ended, then we put it into the private Twit Plus feed for club members. If you're not a club member, you can get it just by going to twit.tv/clubtwit. And then a month after that, 30 days hence, it goes public again on our Twit YouTube channel for all the 13-year-olds to watch. So thank you for doing that, Richard. Is it working?
Oh, yeah, the machine's fine. It'll replace this machine, actually.
Nice.
So
it looked like a pretty nice PC you're building.
Great. It was a great machine. And that Fractal North case is gorgeous. Just a beautiful work of art. Actually.
Is it around somewhere?
Yeah, I'll dig it out after during the break.
Does it light up?
Not really. No, I'm not that guy. Right. I like the wood trim. I like
wood.
It has no external bays because that's not a thing anymore. I'm not putting a DVD drive in it.
Oh, it's a monolith, a wooden monolith.
It's a fan. It's all fans and cooling to keep it quiet.
Yeah. Nice. Very nice.
Together real nice.
Thank you for doing that.
Even though we had to lift the motherboard out at one point and put it back in again.
Yeah. How did the pasting go?
Oh, the pasting was fine. That's an easy part. And I got the kit from Arctic, so I had the little board to
that makes it easier.
Wipe it on and
template.
We had a great discussion in the chat about what's the right pasting technique. It's like not too thick, smooth it out.
Did you baptize it with a little drop of some Jameson or something?
No. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not above threatening a machine with a squirt gun. Like if you don't behave, things are going to get hard for you. But
I love it.
I think they called me on the channel at one point. I'm the Bob Ross of PC builds because I just don't. There's only happy little accidents here, right? Like
it was also calming and beautiful, just like Micah's Crafting Corner. Some of the stuff we do in the club is very peaceful. Some of it not.
Yeah, I think I hit the style that the crowd expects. So
everybody loved it. I'm sorry I missed it. I got called away for.
Yeah, I think about an hour or so, and I said to Anthony, "I was like, kind of glad we didn't wait for Leo on this one." So.
Well, I told him not to wait, go right ahead, and I would get there as soon as I can. I thought you'd be done.
Yeah, that's what I figured. By the time
So I didn't even check. I had no idea you were still there 3 hours later.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, thank you for doing that. And if you're not a member of the club, you're missing some great content, some really fun stuff. Our show today brought to you by ZipRecruiter, the best way to hire. It can be overwhelming to have too many options in life, such as, when you're trying to figure out what TV show or movie to stream, or you're on vacation and you've got all those sites to see. Well, the same applies if you're a business owner who's hiring. It can be overwhelming to have too many candidates to sort through. But you're in luck. ZipRecruiter now gives you the power to proactively find and connect with the best ones quickly. How? Through their innovative resume database. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/twit. ZipRecruiter's resume database uses advanced filtering to quickly hone in on the top candidates for your roles. You can see a candidate you're really interested in and then unlock their contact info instantly. Did you know 320,000 new resumes are added to ZipRecruiter every single month? That means you can reach more potential hires and then sort through them and fill those roles faster. No wonder ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site based on G2. Skip the candidate overload. Instead, streamline your hiring with ZipRecruiter. See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Just go to our exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/twit right now to try it for free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/twit. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And we thank them so much for their support of This Week in Tech. Couple of AI stories. Amazon, it has been discovered by The Information, has agreed to pay the New York Times $20 million a year for its content. I think these are good stories. I think this is, I'm sure other AI companies may not agree, but this way content creators get somewhat compensated for their work, right? It's only about 1% of the Times revenue, but every 1% counts.
That's actually not insignificant.
No. That's a good point. Yeah.
And it's good. It's good precedent.
Yeah. If you're at a company and you bring in 1% of revenue on one deal, that's, you know.
And it's just one AI company. This is the first time Amazon has made an agreement with a publisher. It's the Times' first AI licensing deal. I didn't realize that. I thought for sure they must have other deals. In fact, they are suing OpenAI, right?
They're the
Microsoft.
they're the ones that have put the flag down in terms of suing in specific cases.
Right. Your company, Axel Springer, your new company, has a deal with OpenAI, as does News Corp. Reddit signed a deal with Google, right, for, I think, $20 million also. Maybe that's the new going rate. I have to think it's valuable to these companies, these AI companies, and at this point, they're writing checks. In fact,
well, hey, by the way, Reddit, I mean, I'm not an investing sort of dude, but like, have you seen what Reddit stock has been doing and their revenue? Like, they have been, I think, doubling revenue in the last year since they started getting on that sort of AI licensing movie train.
Yeah, they've done, their revenue increased 78% to $500 million. That's year over year. Daily active uniques increased 21%. I'm a big Reddit fan. I use Reddit like crazy. But one of the things they did that was really smart, they created their own search tool. And this is in a response to the fact that Reddit users have for a long time known that if you added site:reddit.com to a Google search, you often got better results than just a general search of the web, especially if you're looking for expertise, like, which cough syrup to buy.
It's not only that, because we sort of alighted over this when we were talking about Alphabet and Google and got onto the YouTube thing, but, so far, Google/Alphabet has survived the AI moment without it affecting their revenues. But it's kind of because they might be in the act of abandoning the web. Because if you're just if you have a cloud side and you're just providing answers, you don't necessarily need the web to provide those answers anymore, and you can still put advertising around it. So, but to Reddit's point, if you're Reddit, you're probably seeing your traffic from Google search and things like that declining. So you might as well build your own search product.
Well, and here comes Dig, right? Which is going to be an AI kind of version of Reddit. Kevin Rose and ironically, the creator of Reddit, Alexis Ohanian, bought the Dig name back, and they're starting to create a new dig.com. Dig preceded Reddit. In fact, I think a lot of us think that Alexis and Steve Huffman copied Dig to some degree, creating Reddit. I don't know if Reddit feels threatened by Dig, but Dig will be AI first. So maybe now's the time for Reddit to cash in on these AI deals.
And by the way, you brought up Amazon. So Amazon's CEO is sort of getting in hot water for saying that he thinks there should be advertising in the conversations you have with Alexa Plus.
Oh, boy.
Oh, good.
Like the Truman Show. Remember Truman's wife would do ads like when she was talking to him. It would be that sort of thing. And you'd be like, what
Truman, your clothes are brighter than ever thanks to Tide.
Exactly. Exactly. And also, and the other bit of, so that was bizarre. I think that's the best reason yet to never use Alexa Plus. That's just awful that they.
Well, I've used it and it is awful. It's not great. We got it somehow. I don't know how we got it, but
this is how they're going to keep your AIs cheap. By the way, people, this is how they're going to keep it cheap.
The head of Perplexity said, one of the reasons we created Comet Browser is because now we're going to have lots of signals for advertising.
Right. And speaking of things you do use, Leo, did you hear that Amazon is acquiring B.AI?
Yeah. Where did I throw my B? So this was that little device that I've been wearing since January. They announced at CES in January, and I immediately picked it up because it was only $50, no subscription, which should have been a red flag, right?
Right.
That should have told me right there. They're angling for an acquisition. But the idea was this thing recorded everything it heard for 6 months. It recorded all my conversations. Everybody, everything, every day at the end of the day, I'd get a list of things I'd agreed to, to-do list items, a kind of sycophantic but fun summary of how my day went. You could ask it questions. I made it sound like J.K. Simmons, so it was kind of a gruff AI. I loved it. But as soon as I saw that Amazon bought it, I thought, I don't want this 6 months of my life. I mean, this is Alexa on steroids, right? This is everything I've said for 6 months going into that. Including, by the way, one of the things they do at the end of every day is say, hey, we learned 23 new facts about you. Would you look at them to make sure we got it right? It had more than 2,500 facts about me.
Which Amazon just bought, the facts about you.
Well, I deleted it immediately. But you will be glad to know that it hasn't slowed me down. I'm now wearing 2 new pins, and I have a third on the way. So here's AI accelerationist again.
Yeah.
I truly believe that one of the most there'll be many, many uses of AI in my life. I already use it all the time. But one of the most useful would be an agent working for me that listens to everything that goes on, hears everything I agree to and so forth, and helps me in my life, kind of like Her in that movie, that helps me, negotiate, navigate my life, remember things that happened. And so that's why I got the B. When I got rid of the B, I got this thing from, this is called the Limitless AI pin. Kind of does the same thing, records everything, bullet points it, analyzes it. Unlike the B, it saves the audio. So they say you really should ask people before you wear this in their presence. Don't worry, it can't hear you guys because I'm wearing headphones. So it only hears me. This is called the Omi. I kind of like this one. Same idea, but this has an open API. So there are literally more than 1,000 apps for it. You can have Steve Jobs be the AI assistant that advises you based on what this thing hears, or Machiavelli. Or
what he sounds like.
I don't know.
There's no way that's a stereotypical Italian voice, right?
Hey, you decided that you wanted to run the world. How can I help you? So anyway, I think, and then I've got one more coming called Fieldy. So this is a category that is now very crowded.
Okay, so Leo, are you going to want to throw all those away? Because have you heard about the Brilliant Labs Halo smart glasses?
I have those over here. Wait a minute.
Oh, you have the old ones, but the new ones, the next
I have
ones
the
coming
old
out,
ones.
The next ones are going to work like the BAI, plus they're going to have multimodal AI. So they're going to hoover up information through the camera. So
nice.
These things are going to cost $300 only, they say. They have an agentic memory system called Narrative that collects data from the camera and the mics, and it creates a knowledge base just like the BAI does.
So these are the original ones, and
Yeah.
I really didn't like it very
The
much.
original ones were a monocle.
Yeah, I didn't get the monocle.
which
You could
looks
see the prism here that reflects the heads-up display. I don't like this. A heads-up display should not have a prism in it. It should just somehow bounce laser light off the screen.
But that company is coming a long way fast. So
and they have an open API as well. So this is
Right.
really a development platform like the OMI. So I think that that's probably pretty promising.
Mhm.
I agree. This was Gordon Bell's idea, the digital equipment guru.
Right.
He wore, when I interviewed him, a little device around his neck that was doing the same thing, was recording everything. And he came up with the idea. His wife, Gwen Bell, who was wonderful, got Alzheimer's, and he was trying to find a way to help her kind of remember things. And I know I'm getting Alzheimer's at some point if I live long enough. So both my parents have it. So I'm just trying to record everything now so I can say, hey, what did I do last week?
Well, but that's the thing about the Brilliant Labs glasses. The next version is that they have this NOAA multimodal AI agent that will basically, you have conversations with your glasses about, and it will incorporate the stuff that it's harvested.
I think that's very promising. I don't know what the form factor will be. Johnny Ive. Yeah, this is not a good look, is it?
Yeah, you look like Harry S. Truman. Kind of.
The buck stops here. I think there will be, though, a wearable. I don't think it'll be a pin ultimately, although apparently what Johnny Ive's doing for OpenAI might be something like this. We don't know.
It's going to be glasses. It
should be glasses.
Yeah.
Just due to the success of the Ray-Ban Meta Ray-Bans, which I know you're a big fan of.
But check this out, Leo. Here's the craziest thing about the Brilliant Labs Halo smart glasses. They're going to have something called vibe mode. So you can vibe code apps for the glasses while wearing them by talking.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be for me like those pins. I'm
that's a
wearing
good
a
look.
couple of those pins. I could just wear a few of these glasses at the same time.
I would recommend that.
You're like Harry Truman with Flavor Flav sort of mixed in here right now.
I got a big clock. Yeah, I don't know. I'm all in on this stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's hype. I don't think it's BS. I mean, I think it could be. I don't think it's known yet. It could flop completely. We've been through 3 or 4 AI winners. It could be another one.
Yeah.
But if it hits, this is going to be incredible. And I want it. I want to be in on it.
That's why I think that the earth-changing effect of AI won't be because we have super intelligence. It will be because we have ourselves plugged into it, right? So
Right. Completely. It needs to train on our lives, right?
Exactly.
Or maybe not train. Maybe that's more like a RAG. That's context for its existing training. I don't know. I don't know enough about it to know if it's going to take off, but I want to believe. I think that's the problem.
We sort of touched on this obliquely for a second, but like, what's the ultimate business model for this? Are you paying? Is my mom paying $20 to $50 a month for a subscription?
Is that enough?
Is it free but ad supported, or third option, both? So they're getting you coming and going.
Well, this is where there is an opportunity for Apple because, believe it or not, Apple's kind of made the privacy promise. They're certainly marketing on the privacy promise. If they could come up with something that is an Apple service, I already pay Apple. I don't even know. It's a lot of money for Apple One. Right. If they could come up with an Apple service that they could say, look, it's private. We don't share this with anybody. We don't put ads in it. I think that's worth $100 a month, maybe $500 a month. It's worth a lot.
Yeah.
And I think, the usefulness will have to be proven, but there's the potential's there. And
was it Richard that said that he thinks the idea of everything has to be free? Like, I think we're through the looking glass on
we
that
know
now,
it's
right?
not.
Like,
we know it's not.
Well, but what I'm saying is like people are comfortable now. If it's giving me answers for everything in my life, I'm willing to pay $50 a month for that.
People pay for the Wall Street Journal, right? It's got an expensive paywall.
The whole "if you're not paying for the product, you are the product" thing has finally sunk in.
People get it. Yeah.
And so more and more people, even young people, look at a given product and go, "Oh, and I'm not paying for this. So how are you exploiting me?"
Right.
Like they're at least looking at whether they're not going to spend money or not. But it's like, well, they won't use a product that's free because they know they're being exploited.
And mentioning the vibe coders and them keeping it on, 24/7. If it's making you money, Leo was mentioning the Wall Street Journal, but any of those, Wall Street newsletters for years that cost you thousands of dollars.
They make you money.
If it makes you money, you can pay whatever is above. Yeah.
But if you look at the chat companies, the AI chatbots, they're making money in multiple ways that people don't even know about. So let's say you're a paid user of Perplexity, which Leo, I know you are, I am too.
Yeah.
So they take our subscription revenue. They also have paid prioritization and enhanced what do they call it? Branding for partners. So they partner with companies. They
white label
favor those companies' results in your answers.
It's kind of like advertising.
Yes, and then it's like OpenAI is actually trying to get micropayments when they suggest something, and then there's an ad at the top or there's a link at the top, and they go and you buy the product.
You have to be careful.
They get a piece of that.
This is what enshittified Google, though, right?
Yep.
This is why I pay $25 for Kagi.
Right. Exactly.
Because I didn't, it actually ruined Google.
Full disclosure, my son works at Kagi. And so, but yeah, exactly. That's
disclosure. His boss is going to be on Intelligent Machines on Wednesday. Vlad,
fantastic.
Vlad will be
fantastic.
I'm really curious. I was a fan of Neva before this, which was a similar paid ad-free search. I accepted, just as you said, Richard, I wasn't going to get free search that wouldn't be enshittified. So I thought, I'm going to pay for it. Neva was one of the first to have AI results. It was, I thought, very good. They pivoted because they said we can't compete against Google. But times have changed. They might have pivoted too soon. We'll talk to Vlad on Wednesday on Intelligent Machines. That should be interesting.
I mean, it's part of just to speaking of shitification, it's part of the problem with AI chatbots. So one of the things that they do is they go to open access, scientific, and other types of websites that provide ad-free content of very high quality, and they are hitting them so hard with their spiders, right?
Well, we're in that phase, aren't we now?
Yes. Yeah. So that it actually not only makes their results faster, it makes it slower for users to use the original site.
Wikipedia, we talked last week with Molly White, who's a Wikipedia editor. It's killing Wikipedia.
Right. And then they also are competing against search engines. People are using them as search engines, but they're doing something Google couldn't get away with, which is that, they charge a subscription fee and then they enshittify it through advertising and all these other things, right? They're doing both.
Nice job.
Google did that. If Google provided prioritization in search results without disclosing it, without labeling it, people would be on fire about that, right? But that's exactly what OpenAI and Perplexity do.
We need to take a little break. I do want to talk about, there is a lot of money flowing. You mentioned it earlier, Brian, $1.5 billion pay package for one guy. We'll talk with Wall Street Journal thinks they knew who that person is. We'll talk about
work
that.
If you can get it.
Yeah. And he turned it down.
Nice.
Anyway, we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Mike Elgin is here. Brian McCullough, Richard Campbell. It's so nice to have, I look forward to it because I get the smartest people and we talk about the most important things going on in technology. And it is always an education for me. I hope you feel the same. We just really love having you here every Sunday. We do the show from 2 to 5 p.m. Pacific. That is 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. As I mentioned, you can watch it live. You can get it after the fact. Download shows. All 1,043 shows are available on our website, twit.tv. There's a YouTube channel with most of the shows. We've been doing video longer than almost anybody has of our shows. And, of course, you can subscribe in a podcast client. Leave us a nice review if you would. One of the problems with having a show that's more than 20 years old now, we're not the flavor of the month. We're not the flavor of the year. We're not even the flavor of the decade anymore. So, publicity is dependent on you, our viewers. So if you like what you hear, share it with friends. Tell them about Twit. We would appreciate that. Our show today brought to you by Zscaler, the leader in cloud security. They are experts in the understanding that AI cuts both ways, right? It's both amazing and problematic. Problematic, hackers are using AI to breach your organization faster and more effectively than ever before. On the other hand, AI powers innovation. It drives efficiency. On the other hand, it also helps bad actors deliver more relentless and effective attacks. That's why you need Zscaler to help you on both sides. Phishing attacks over encrypted channels, here's a bad statistic, increased last year alone by 34.1%, fueled by the growing use of generative AI tools and phishing as a service kits, right? Meanwhile, organizations in all industries, ours, little ones like me, big ones like the biggest companies in the world, are leveraging AI to increase employee productivity. They're using public AI for engineers with coding assistance, all that vibe coding. Marketers are using AI with the writing tools, helping them craft new campaigns. Finance is using AI to create spreadsheet formulas. Companies are automating workflows for operational efficiency across individual and teams. They're embedding AI into applications and services that are both customer and partner facing. Ultimately, AI is helping enterprise move faster in the market and gain competitive advantage. All of that is great. But if you're using AI, you need to think about how you protect your company's private and public use of AI. You also, of course, need to think about how to defend against AI-powered attacks. That's what Jeff Simon did. He's Senior Vice President and Chief Security Officer at T-Mobile. T-Mobile uses Zscaler. He said Zscaler's fundamental difference in the technologies and SaaS space is that it was built from the ground up to be a zero-trust network access solution, which is exactly the main outcome we were looking to drive. Up to now, we've thought of perimeter defenses as being, the way to protect yourself. Firewalls, for instance. And then you need a VPN to get through the firewall so you get to work, which means you've got public-facing IP addresses, which are exposing your attack surface. And nowadays, they're no match for hackers using AI. It's time for a modern approach. Zscaler's comprehensive zero-trust architecture in AI ensures both safe public AI productivity, protects the integrity of private AI, and stops AI-powered attacks. Zero trust means deny by default. It means bad guys can't do anything until you've explicitly authorized it. It really works. It lets you thrive in the AI era. With Zscaler Zero Trust Plus AI, stay ahead of the competition and remain resilient even as threats and risks evolve. Learn more at zscaler.com/security. That's zscaler.com/security. We thank them so much for supporting This Week in Tech. Very happy to know that they're coming back in 2026. Really, really appreciate your support. Thank you, Zscaler. So, New York Times headline, I like it, and a beautiful graphic to go with it. It says, AI researchers are negotiating $250 million pay packages, just like N.B.A. stars. AI technologists are approaching the job market as if they were Steph Curry or LeBron James.
I love that framing, too. It's like, how on earth did we get to a point where people who are changing human culture and determining the fate of nations are making as much money as men who run around in shorts throwing balls into little hoops? How did we get there?
But think about it. The reason basketball players and football players get so much money is because they make much money for those teams, right?
Right.
They're worth every penny.
And they're still underpaid.
Yeah, right. The teams are still making incredible profits. I think it's the same premise. It's why Mark Zuckerberg, who, by the way, has even said, look, I've got a cash cow here. I got a fountain of cash with Facebook. I can afford to do two things: to hire and pay people, the best paid check they could ever get anywhere, and invest in infrastructure, in GPUs, and buy more of them, because the people coming here don't just want money, they want access to the hardware. And I can do both, and that's his super intelligence team. The Times talks about a 24-year-old. Mike, what were you making at the age of 24?
Let's see. I was a room service waiter.
Yeah. You were living on tips.
Exactly.
I'm trying to think. I think I was a busboy at Denny's. This guy, he's Matt Ditke. He's an AI researcher, was offered $125 million in stock and cash. It was over 4 years. So let's be honest. It's a mere 31 million a year.
How will he get by?
I know, in Silicon Valley, have you seen home prices?
Dickey said it wasn't enough. I wanted to stick with my startup. So Mark came over. He drove his Lamborghini up, his Countach. I'm here in my Countach, and revised the offer to $250 million, with $100 million of that paid in the first year. Ditke said, I was so surprised. I asked my peers what to do. Some said take the deal. He did. It's kind of hard to turn that down.
Good for him.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well cash in, because who knows, next year that money may not be there.
For 1 year, yes, please. 1 year.
Listen, the lesson from this show is if someone comes to you and offers you $250 million,
take it!
Yeah.
I mean, depending on what they're asking you to do.
But wait, because here's a guy, he followed Mira Murati, who was former interim CEO at OpenAI, started a company called Thinking Machines Lab. No, by the way, no product. We don't know what they're doing, but the venture capital market has thrown money at them.
Largest seed round raise in the history of venture capital.
And we don't even know what they're doing, but it's more, they're more investing in Mira Murati, right? Saying,
and also point out all Valley money, right? Like,
oh yeah.
Just
it's
be
all
aware
VC.
that
that's worth pointing out, is that what Zuck is sort of disrupting here is what would have been pouring in from VC funds into these startups. Continue, but that's
he's his own fund. He has so much money. So first thing he did is he went to Mira and said, "I'll buy it. I'll buy the whole company." She said no. So what do? Then you go and you talk to each employee. According to the Wall Street Journal, in the following weeks, he approached more than a dozen of her 50 employees to say, what would it take? His number one target, a guy named Andrew Tulloch, co-founder, he offered Tulloch $1 billion. $1 billion with bonuses that could have been worth as much as $1.5 billion over 6 years. Tulloch said no.
Amazing.
Tulloch said no.
Doesn't seem
I'm going to make you a billionaire, dude.
Yeah. But wait, Mark Zuckerberg did similar things in his life. He was offered $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
For
what's better than $1 million?
Yeah.
$1 billion. I saw
he was offered that for his company. There was other shareholders.
Right, but the point is right, as opposed to this is a check that I will write to you in person, which is a different thing. But also,
by the way, Meta denies this. The Meta spokesperson said it was inaccurate and ridiculous, but the journal's standing by it.
We're all sort of Schadenfreude-ing. Is that, does Schadenfreude fit here? But
no, it's the opposite of Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude is the shameful joy in the misfortune of others.
It's like, we are
having pure joy in the fortune of others.
Like, so is
I don't know what the German for that is.
The question is,
it's so rare.
Because some of the debate that I've heard internally from like the AI community is like, it is Zuck coming on so hard and so gauche.
That it's
almost.
turning them off, huh?
Yeah.
Right. And then it is but if you want me so bad, then there is something here that is you're proving to me that this is a generational opportunity.
Right.
That I could make more money if I had the balls that you had and stuck it out, as opposed to taking.
Well, all right, Brian, how much did you make at the age of 24?
Not that much money, but I founded my first company at 19. So
so you were already an entrepreneur.
I was
just a busboy at Denny's.
Let's put it this way. I had my friends as they lived with me and paid me rent because I could afford a large
you've
apartment.
always been like a macher, huh? You've always had that.
But not to the tune of $100 million, that's for sure.
Well, and honestly, no one needs $1.5 billion, right? If you thought, well, if I stay with thinking machines, I'll be worth $500 million in a year or two, that would be enough.
There's also a real evangelism in true AI circles that this is not just generational, this is civilizational. Yeah.
So if you thought that whatever Zuck is doing, however much money he's pouring into it, isn't going to be the thing, if you thought, no, we got a handle on it here at Thinking Machines, you would stay because you want to be where the action is, especially since you're going to make money.
Well, you remember that all of OpenAI was built on the idea of pulling those people out of Google Mind.
Right.
And paying them less.
Right. For the privilege.
Because the mission was more important than the income.
Yeah. Maybe, is that it? Zuckerberg's just so gauche. He's getting people. I mean, $1.5 billion from somebody who's gauche is still $1.5 billion. It doesn't matter.
You're a tech giant. You have a choice. Buy them at the beginning before they've been successful and be successful with them, or buy them afterwards when they're much more expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, they should all get together. The people who got offers, take them all at the same time, and then just hang out at the office and play ping pong. That's what they should do.
Yeah.
Right. Go up on the roof.
Well,
we should point out that Murati took a bunch of people, 20 people from OpenAI. I mean, it's not like she's got the moral high ground here or anything.
Well, did she do it with money or with a better goal? Right? People get to work where they want to work. Like, at least if you're selling a culture and a goal, it's better than I'm just going to pay you a huge pile of money.
It's probably the case that the really good people are not motivated by money in this case, right?
To some degree. I mean, I've known lots of folks who joined Microsoft because the signing bonuses were $250,000 and $500,000.
Right.
And so they literally put in their year and walked.
It's hard to turn it down, especially if you have student loans and
that's get yourself out of debt kind of money.
Yeah.
And that was just run-of-the-mill mid-tier software developers back in the time, because there was a period there where nobody in the Valley would work for Facebook at all. And so they went to the Microsofts and the Amazons and like people outside of the Valley to do their recruiting.
What it looks like is there's a general belief that there will be one winner.
Well, in the Valley, that's the belief, like that there is going to be a winter mute, using William Gibson's term, like this super AI moment, which completely every piece of evidence says that's not what's going to happen.
It doesn't look like that right now. In fact, it looks like nobody has that. There are some people like Amazon that are laggards or Apple that are laggards, but the top companies are all roughly equal.
Well, and then how do you measure that per se? What do you mean by equal per se?
Well, DeepMind, I would say DeepMind, Anthropic, and OpenAI are in the race. I don't see one company pulling ahead.
Yeah, I wouldn't put
and then there's QN, there's
all.
Alibaba, there's the Chinese companies, which also seem to be doing some really good stuff. I don't think there's a monopoly, let's say, on success in AI.
Well, so one of the things that's coming out of this is that LLMs are just not that hard to build.
Right. Well, not only are they not hard to build, the secret sauce isn't secret. Google published all of those papers.
Sure. It is ultimately it's the weights and it's the source of data. Like, let's back up a bit on some of the stories we've gone over here. If you start paying for data, if you start making sure you're only training models on quality data that you paid for, what does that model look like after the fact?
Yeah.
Like
the other thing is that right now people think in terms of chatbots, but I think chatbots, their days are numbered. In 5 years, nobody's going to be using a chatbot. Right?
Really?
Go to OpenAI. They're not going to go to ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah.
Type in.
It'll be a device.
It'll be on all the devices. It'll be part of applications, right? One of the coolest things I learned about it on this network, I don't remember who, I apologize, but is use of the word Lex, the word processor Lex Writer. Lex Writer is amazing. It's like a word processor, a cloud-based word processor, but the AI is sort of baked in, but it doesn't write for you. It's like a partner. You'd have conversations with it.
It's pair writing, kind of like pair coding, right?
Well, I mean, it's passive. It's in the back of you. It doesn't do anything until you explicitly ask it to do something. But you can just say, hey, what do you think of this? And it'll say, wow, and it gives you really good feedback about your work and stuff like that, right? So I'm not using a chat.
So you're saying AI will be kind of mixed
everywhere
into the things you'll use.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It'll just be everywhere.
Everything will be running LLMs, small language models, all kinds of different kinds of AI. But you won't have to explicitly go and say, I'm using a chatbot now. I don't think that's really going to be a major use case in a few
Lex,
years.
we should say, is at lex.page.
Yes.
And is, I think, $15 a month.
Right.
It's a collaborative. It kind of makes me wish I were a writer. Maybe I should be a writer.
I've been screwing around with writing a sci-fi novel, and I've been using it for this exact purpose where it's been in my head for years, so I know generally the plot that I want to do. But when it comes to like, okay, describe what the planet looks like, I don't have time to think about, is it a mushroom-based planet? Are the aliens, amphibian or what? So you ask AI to either give me 5 options for the next paragraph or write a paragraph of what could come next. And then you don't take it because usually what that paragraph is garbage.
Yeah. But
that's the vibe, everything. That vibing is the thing, because it's like you can get in a flow where you're creating, you have the structure in place, you know where you want to go, but all of the intermediate steps where you lose the flow and that's what it can do for you. And Leo lost the flow.
No, we lost the Leo. That's what happened.
Yes,
but that happens occasionally. I do think AI is almost not the product, or LLMs are not the product. They're the interface.
Right. Yes.
They're just going to see more and more places where they're going to appear.
And I think that's my point. I mean, I'm a big believer in glasses, that they're going to be the interface for us to be using use it the way we now use chatbots. We just talk, I just, I think these companies, if I was OpenAI, if I was, some of these companies, I would be all over the glasses thing.
Sure. Where you look is the most useful piece of information. By far.
And then the answer can be just whispered in your ear by the hardware that's just right there next to your ear.
So last week I should have asked this question, because we had 3 people on who had successful newsletters. I don't think, Brian, you don't do a newsletter, right?
Not yet, but Morning Brew does do a lot of newsletters, we'll see. Yes. Yeah.
But Mike does. I was thinking maybe this whole podcasting thing doesn't have legs. Maybe I should do a newsletter instead. And but the thing is, I can write, but I don't like to write. Well, but maybe if I had a tool like this, it would help me.
Yeah.
Like
what you should do, Leo,
a newsletter. That's hilarious.
What you should do, Leo, is you should basically tell AI to take every episode and turn it into a newsletter and write it.
I have content.
Yeah, it just did that within 5 seconds. Just what he said would be a newsletter within 5 seconds.
Should I do a newsletter? Write it out for me and put it up on. Not on Substack anymore, because they invite people to join Nazi newsletters. Let's do Beehive. How about that? Where is yours, Mike?
Substack.
Okay. Yeah. Where you saw the story.
I did. I felt that the criticism was somewhat
I think it was an accident, right?
Right, exactly. They say, the harshest critics say that, this really reflects the
well, we know founders. we know there are Nazi newsletters on Substack.
Yes, the question is, I mean, they take a point of view that says, hey, if it's legal by the First Amendment, they can publish on our service.
However reprehensible. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's not a crazy policy,
No,
right?
that's common carrier. Next, you're going to blame telephones for transmitting net.
It's a little more than that.
But my problem with the criticism is that they're saying, oh, that they really reflects their thing. No, actually, the truth is that Substack is the best source of sort of anti-Nazi, lefty kind of publications. Everybody's on, like the number of powerful leftists who left their, Wall Street Journal and the New York Times to go do their own publication, and who are now liberated because they're not under a editorial, mission of a newspaper. They're mostly on Substack. So if you look at the totality of what's on Substack, it's mostly a force for anti-Nazi type stuff. But the other thing is they apologized for the error. They said it was an error. They said they're going to make sure it doesn't happen again. They said that the content that was promoted was damaging and harmful.
It was pretty bad.
This was, yes, but this is not the policy of a company that's exists in order to make sure that Nazis have
Taylor Lorenz publicized it on her newsletter, of course.
In the sixth paragraph, she mentioned that it was an accident. That should have been in the second paragraph.
In the lead,
yeah. But it's so it's a bit disingenuous, and I hope that the mob doesn't sort of tear them down and cause.
Well, but there's also been some talk that maybe Substack isn't the best place to try to make a success in a newsletter. Yeah.
It's so good though. You
like it. You still get promoted and you get attention.
I've never been promoted by them at all. Okay. They've never thrown me a bone at all. Which I wish they would, but no, it just the formatting.
Well, you just offended them. Maybe they'll do that.
Yeah, they're much bigger.
If I were going to start a newsletter now, would be the time. While I still have a podcast, I could promote the newsletter. on.
Yeah, you should absolutely have a news. I mean, what is a newsletter? It's like it can be a video newsletter, it can be a podcast newsletter. It's
so lazy. I just like to talk. It's so easy. You just turn on the microphone, you talk.
Staff, make Benito do it.
I don't make Benito do it.
But also the AI.
I will outsource that to AI.
Right, Benito would get Lex.
Outsource it to Benito to outsource it to AI. Yeah.
Yes.
Anthropic did a study in which it found out why AIs become evil. They're also, parenthetically, this is from The Verge, hiring for an AI psychiatry team. I don't know if that means a psychiatrist for the AI or for the users of the AI. Jack Lindsay, an Anthropic researcher working on interpretability, who was also tapped to lead the company's fledgling AI psychiatry team, told The Verge, something's been cropping up a lot recently is that language models, and maybe you've noticed this, I certainly have, can slip into different modes where they seem to behave according to different personalities. Now, by the way, the flaw here is in thinking that it has any personality in the first place, right? Well, gosh, ChatGPT is not acting like itself. Well, that makes no sense. There is no itself, right? Lindsay said this can happen during a conversation. Your conversation can lead the model to start behaving weirdly, like becoming overly sycophantic or turning evil. This can also happen over training. Now, I have a theory that
this blame the victim model.
It's your fault.
You did this. You made the AI crazy.
Yeah, you talked. Okay. Well, I think what happens is it has a limited context window, right? If you get too many tokens in there, we've all seen this. AI start to slow down. They start to act weird. They start to hallucinate more. It's just a limitation of AIs.
Sometimes the token block overflows.
Yeah. Friday's paper came out of an Anthropic Fellows program, which had been funded to do safety research. Researchers wanted to know what caused personality shifts. They found that just as medical professionals can apply sensors to see which areas of the human brain light up in certain scenarios, they could also figure out which parts of the AI neural network correspond to which traits. And once they figured this out, it's almost like a functional MRI of the AI's weights. They could then see which type of data or content lit up those specific areas. The most surprising part of the research to Lindsay was how much the data influenced an AI's model qualities. One of its first responses, he says, was not just to update its writing style or knowledge base, but also its personality. He said, if you coax the model to act evil, the evil vector lights, that portion of the AI brain, will light up. They also found out if you train a model on wrong answers to math questions or wrong diagnoses for medical data, even if the data doesn't seem evil but just has some flaws in it, the model will turn evil.
The other thing, well, first of all, folks, you shouldn't be just accepting whatever personality comes out of things. You should be doing role prompting and tell it what its personality is. So always do that. But did you hear about, or did you talk on any of the podcasts, Leo, about Jeff Lewis, who basically went down this rabbit hole on ChatGPT? He's a tech investor, an early investor of OpenAI. And he started to go down this rabbit hole. And so to feed his questions, apparently, as far as we can tell, the ChatGPT was increasingly relying on a website called the SCP Foundation, which is a fiction site that began on 4chan, moved on to its own website. And it basically is about this concept that human beings are being replaced by digital versions of themselves. Anyway, the guy posted this big video on X, with this essentially ranting about this conspiracy theory. He thinks he knows the truth about what's happening and all this kind of stuff. Very disturbing. But but the point is that because he was going so deep and spending so much time on certain subject matter, it had to reach into fiction, right? They talk about chatbots being evil and all that kind of stuff, having weird personalities. Well, fiction is a great place to get that kind of stuff, right? Because they're words like that. The chatbot doesn't, just is looking for words to throw at you. And so anyway, this is an interesting case where this is a prominent person, an investor in OpenAI, who basically allowed, he had what they're calling AI psychosis, right? Where it's because of its sycophantic nature, because of the other things that it does, it's making people kind of
allowing personality traits to be reinforced.
Exactly. Thank you.
Well, exactly. So if you go to ChatGPT believing in the global conspiracy and start prompting it that way, it's going to confirm your bias, your nonsense.
Right.
That's important to know.
Right. And the other thing,
I'm not a fan of AI safety guards, to be honest, because first of all, it's an illusion that you can even do it.
Right.
Problem number one.
Right.
Number two, who's to say? I think what we really need to do is train people to understand what you're getting from the AI, right. and nobody's going to become a Molotov cocktail thrower because they got the recipe on ChatGPT. That's not how it works.
Right. But I'm a huge fan of smart prompt engineering, and I got a whole bunch of.
It's all about the prompt, isn't it?
Yeah. So I have a great one that I use on Perplexity a lot, and it basically says, starts out with role prompting, as most of these things do, and it says, you are a world-class, highly particular fact checker and expert in the verifiable information, blah, 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 blah. Give it this whole paragraph and then say, fact check this, : and then I can paste in whole articles. I can paste in a claim. I can paste in anything. And it does such a good job. It really, really does a good job. It will take every single sentence, every single claim in an entire article, and it will basically do an entire treatment of that one statement. About where it came from, what they're saying, and it has very high standards for this is a claim, it's not really verifiable, it's more of an opinion, blah 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 blah. It characterizes everything, and so people should be doing that all the time, because this, at some point, you're going to be lied to, you're going to be the victim of hallucination, and so always be telling the chatbots, tell me the truth, give me information that's verifiable. Right, that sort of language.
That's why I like RAG. That's why Notebook LM, Google's RAG that generates now video as well as audio summaries, is great, because you could say, look, you got a corpus of information I've provided you. Stick to that. Don't make stuff up. Don't hallucinate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but you realize what you're saying is you're asking everybody to be media literate then, right? That's what you're asking.
Yes, I am.
And that's
I'm
impossible.
asking-
That's a
I'm
fundamental
asking-
impossibility, right? That's not going to happen.
But I'm asking the sweet-smelling audience of this particular network, who are
You guys.
way above average in terms of their willingness and ability to do this stuff. So yeah, no, I wouldn't ask it of everybody, but certainly.
Well, the opposite, though, is also pretty patronizing, saying, well, the rest of you couldn't possibly do this right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean,
we'll do this for you or something.
Yeah. That's actually one of the other cool things about Lex. They actually have this whole, if you go into their help systems, a lot of the help is essentially training about how to be a really
Teaching
effective
you.
user of AI.
Yeah.
And so
I might have
you
to
can,
pay for this. This looks good.
But you can find really good prompt engineering help and just copy them and keep them in a note, in some document somewhere, and then
Okay,
paste
but
them
don't
in.
do the one thing I did. We had our AI users group on Friday. And as the thing was starting up, I thought, I use Obsidian. I have a pretty big vault over a period of years in Obsidian. And I found a prompt on Reddit that would organize my Obsidian. And I don't copy and paste somebody else's prompt. It completely trashed my Obsidian. So, I mean, it made it look like this guy would want it to look, but it's not how I wanted it to look, right? So don't write your own prompts. Maybe.
Right, write your own, but
study.
But if you don't feel like you know what you're doing, you can start with somebody else's prompt and then go in and tweak it. And you can just do magical things with not magic.
Darren Oki, who is a vibe
rational
coder in our club, says it's kind of the opposite. It's irrelevant to what I do because either the code that writes works or it doesn't work. So it's not RAG. It's not. It's going to either work or not.
Work and not work in software is not that clear either. Like,
well, that's true. It can work for a little bit.
The compiler is a great threshold. Like, will it actually run?
Right.
But is it actually doing what you want it to do?
That's a good
It
question.
takes a little more testing.
That's why you get it to write the tests. All right. We're going to take a break. There's so much to talk about. We're getting through it. But more to come in just a little bit. You're watching a special episode of This Week in Tech with three very special people. We really love having them on. Brian McCullough from the brand new Tech Brew Ride Home. Great to have you. Where do people go? If you already subscribe to Tech Meme Ride Home, just that's fine.
You don't have to do anything. New bus, same as the old bus.
What website? Should they go to a website or just go to a podcast?
Oh, I haven't worked all that out yet. Just to your podcast. Yeah. Oh God, Leo, the amount of things you got to shift over after 8 years and blah, 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 blah. But the bottom line is, if you want the tech news every single day in the afternoon in about 15 minutes, Tech Brew Ride Home, you could just always search Ride Home. That
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you can, ridehome.info, right? That's it,
That's right. Yes.
So that's still going to apply.
It's still going to apply, but if you're looking at it right now, you'll notice that Tech Meme's probably still on there.
It still says Tech Meme, but then the album art says Tech Brew. So I understand.
I'm getting there.
You're in a transition period.
Exactly.
That's all.
Yeah.
You're pre-op. It's okay.
I'm
You'll get
transitioning,
there.
yes.
Yeah, you'll get there. Also, Mike Elgin, he has not changed the name of his newsletter, machinesociety.ai. Where is your next gastro-nomad adventure?
Well, it's here in Oaxaca in a couple of weeks, I think, and so we've been having a lot of fun with all of our experiences. We're doing Sicily nowadays, and Sicily is just really a popular one. But yeah, we do wine countries plus Mexico and Central America. So that's what we do.
And it's a small group. How many couples?
Well, it's typical. Well, for Oaxaca, it's going to be 5 couples. That's
it's
pretty
just
much
a tiny group. Yeah,
tiny group. The one you were at, the one you joined in Oaxaca, Leo, that was the biggest one we'd ever done because it was the first one. It was
you made room for us. I knew that you
exactly. And so we didn't want to say no to our dear friend. So we didn't.
It was so much fun. Oh my
Yeah.
God, it was incredible. The food and the fun and the
just to explain what we do, we have a small group of people live together in some really cool house of some kind. In Europe, it's usually a farmhouse in the middle of a vineyard or something like that. And then we just do food stuff all day. It's all food and drink. We learn how to make things. We go visit farmers. We go to exquisite restaurants. We have chefs come to our house to make food for us. We do wine tasting. We do all that kind of stuff. In Oaxaca, we do mezcal tasting. So it's just it's just a ton of fun, and people don't have to do. First of all, we don't tell anybody what they're going to do. It's a big surprise, right? So every day that we get up, we say, make sure you're wearing a hat and sunglasses. We're going to go, and then we go somewhere, and they find out what we're doing when we're doing it. So it's really, really fun, and it's something I think everybody deserves to do that kind of thing.
It's real traveling. It's not touristing. It's traveling.
Yes.
It's great.
You don't need to be a tourist in most
Gastronomist.net.
cases.
Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. And Richard Campbell, of course, host of Windows Weekly and run his radio show and .NET Rocks with Carl Franklin. And of course, we have made a YouTube playlist of all his whiskey recommendations on our Windows Weekly site. So you can youtube.com/Windows Weekly Show, maybe? I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, the redirect something weird from mycloset.com.
Oh, yeah, that's the best way. Go to somethingweirdfrommycloset.com and you will see all of the whiskey recommendations. It's become a really popular part and a fun part of, I don't even drink whiskey, but it's a fun part of the show because you learn history. We had pretty much a trip down memory lane with the history of England a couple of weeks ago. It was pretty incredible. So all of this is here, and it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing.
I don't think we've had the Macallan 18 Sherry cast come up yet, but that was the one where I ended up talking about that when they were building the expanded distillery, they dug up a Mesolithic barley farm.
Wow.
Same location, 6,000 years old. Like
so they really
been
could
there
say
a
it's
long
6,000-year-old whiskey, you know?
Yeah. Well, they said 1824 for a reason. That's when they could get a license. Up until then, they've been making whiskey illegally, and they didn't want to talk about it.
That's wild. That's wild. This is part of the fabulous whiskey creation process.
Well, it turned out to be 2.5 hours long.
Wow. Lots of videos if you like whiskey. Thank you, Richard. Our show this week brought to you by Miro. I've been talking about Miro for a couple of years now. Every day, new headlines speculate about how AI might be coming for your job, which just makes everybody anxious and fearful. But a recent survey from Miro might encourage you. Tells a different story. 76% of the survey respondents believe AI can benefit their role. Of course, 54% do struggle to know when to use it, and that's why you should try Miro's Innovation Workspace. It's an intelligent platform that brings people and AI together in a shared space to get great work done. Miro has been empowering teams to transform bold ideas into the next big thing for over a decade. I know you've heard about Miro, but today they're at the forefront of bringing products to market even faster by unleashing the combined power of AI and human potential. Miro's Innovation Workspace will help your teams be faster, more productive, and ultimately more effective. Here's how. Teams can work with Miro AI to turn unstructured data, even like sticky notes, screenshots, into usable diagrams, product briefs, data tables. Bring in that napkin from the bar that's kind of a little soggy. Prototype it in minutes. It's more than just putting a bunch of ideas on a board, too. You can rapidly iterate with your teammates to bring these ideas to life fast. Quickly build on your ideas without needing the perfect question or prompt. That's always challenging, as we were talking about. That's always been a thing I think that's gotten in the way when you're using these chatbots. Wouldn't you love to just be able to throw everything you've thought and all your ideas up there and work iteratively with an AI? You don't have to be an AI master or to toggle yet another tool. The work you're already putting into Miro's canvas is the prompt itself. Isn't that great? Help your teams get great done with Miro. Check out Miro.com to find out how. That's MIRO.com. MIRO.com. We thank Miro so much for supporting us for many years. We've been big fans of Miro. Thank you, Miro. So I saw a couple of articles this weekend, actually, about AI expenditures now becoming the most important part of GDP. Here's one from Paul Kudrowski. AI Capex, capital expenditures, is so big, it's affecting economic statistics. boosting the economy, and this should maybe be a little warning, beginning to approach the railroad boom.
No, it's not that big.
Well, no, it isn't. In fact, here's the graph. Railroads in the 1880s ended up being 6% of GDP. AI data centers still only 1.2%, but it's growing fast.
It is above the .com era, although Noah Smith says he's debating that a little bit. But
this is noopinion.com, where will data centers crash the economy?
The statistic that blew my mind was that the contributor to GDP growth in the last quarter from AI expenditures, data center expenditures, was larger than the entire US consumer. Now, that's not that the spending on AI was more than the US consumer spends, but the contribution to the growth of GDP.
It has a bigger impact than consumer spending.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
which is good, because consumer spending is probably not so healthy right now.
Some of the reading between the lines of some of these pieces, there's another one from Chris Mims in the Wall Street Journal from 2 days ago that is suggesting that, like, essentially what Kudrowski and Mims are saying is that there is a giant stimulus that is happening in the economy right now that is entirely from the people building out AI.
And it's both, it's good and bad, because of course with the railroad boom, there was a bust. Most of those railroads went bankrupt, but the tracks didn't go away, and we got an intercontinental railroad, and that infrastructure powered a century of growth in the country.
Same thing happened in Web 2.0. You know, Facebook.
All that underground fiber, companies might have gone out of business, but the fiber stayed. So you think that that's what we're going to see with this?
Well, that's the nice thing about data centers, right? Is they're still data centers. It doesn't matter what workloads they do.
Except there is a very strong and very short sort of turnover, Moore's Law style turnover, where a data center as it's provisioned today, 18 months from now, is basically worthless.
No kidding. Wow.
Except that Moore's Law is not maintaining its cadence because the chips aren't improving.
You've built the data center, you built the hardware. Maybe you have to upgrade it, but you've done a lot of the work.
The point is that, and so the Noah Smith piece, it's titled, "Could this be a new problem that could blow up the global economy in the way that, like in 2008, blah, blah, blah." Because people are taking out loans that they're using the data centers to reinforce those loans or guarantee those loans.
Right.
And what they're saying is that if you're using debt to do it, if the data center is still there, it's not like it got blown up, but if you then have to spend the same amount of money to put new chips into it, maybe the infrastructure doesn't have to be retrofitted or whatever, but it is not the same asset that is sort of evergreen as fiber in the ground or railroads on the ground.
Well, also in the interim, it could be really bad. There was a crash in 1893 thanks to the failure of these railroads. 500 banks went under. It was the worst thing until the Great Depression. So many people out of work. And that's what Noah is also saying here. A data center bust would mean the big tech shareholders would lose a lot of money. It would also slow the economy. But the scariest possibility is it would cause a financial crisis.
Well, if again, the Great Recession, the housing crisis, was because all of the banks were overextended in lending to homeowners. And so there was a run on liquidity that they couldn't keep up with, at least at this point. And I reached out to Noah. Maybe I'll talk to him this week. Like, from what he says, if you read his piece all the way through, there are around the margins some of the debt stuff starting to happen, but it's nowhere. It's not like your bank or, Bank of America, JP Morgan or whatever is in hock up to 190% of their balance sheet to these data centers yet. But he's raising the warning that
and the tech giants are using cash because they've got it.
They've got it.
And I was just double checking some of these numbers, and like less than 40% of the price of a data center are the servers and storage. Getting power put in, pouring all that concrete, HVAC.
Cooling. Yeah.
Yeah. All
Cooling is huge.
UPSs. It's more than half. So that's
not wasted completely.
Last.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the machines don't burst into flames after 18 months. Like we do run older hardware. After 5 or 6 years, you start to question the failure rates.
The two things though that maybe the scare headlines are, oh, could this blow up the global economy again? Not yet, but maybe we're laying the groundwork for something potentially bad down the road. But the real issue today would be, number one, what does the economy look like without this spending? And I'm not going to get into politics or anything like that about jobs reports from last week or whatever. But there are suggestions that, again, this is a huge, essentially non-governmental fiscal stimulus that is propping things up. And then number two, what we do know is that this era of tech build out is not extremely job intensive.
Yeah.
And so even if all of the spending is happening, it is not necessarily creating a ton of jobs.
Careful. You could get fired for saying that.
But, there is so much uncertainty in the work market that most businesses I know are being very careful with their money. Unless
we notice, and this is completely anecdotal, but there is definitely a drop off in advertising as companies get more and more nervous about the future. It's not that they're thinking it's going to be bad. They're just uncertainty. Business doesn't like uncertainty.
No, they're holding onto their cash.
Yeah. They're saying, well, let's just wait and see. And what's the first thing that goes? Your podcast spending. That's why I'm starting a newsletter, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to say.
Yeah, you're getting into the lucrative newsletter.
Can you make any money?
Well, some people are. I think that
there are people making $1 million a year on the big ones. Right?
There's one that's making $5 million a month or something like that. They let her from an American. She's making bank, and she's got a whole staff and everything. So
but she's really good. I wouldn't be that good.
Your plan is to not be that good?
My plan is not to be that good. Yes. I actually subscribed a letter from an American, but I'm probably one of those millions that are funding Heather Cox Richardson's great success.
Yeah.
What content strategy looks like in the age of AI? This is from Fast Company. We are rapidly getting close to something called Google Zero. This is something content companies have feared for a long time, where Google no longer sends you traffic.
Yeah.
What do you do now?
Google successfully destroyed their own business.
I was starting a newsletter.
Right? Start a newsletter.
Nobody will see it.
The article in Fast Company, written by Pete Pachal, creator of Media Copilot newsletter and a podcast host, so you can trust him, says, panicking is never a good strategy, but pivoting can be. And we've seen this week. Wired and The Verge both announced a strong push into newsletters. Newsletters. I don't know. I was talking with Paris Martineau on Wednesday on Intelligent Machines and Jeff Jarvis, and we all agreed that while we subscribe to many newsletters, we read very few. They end up in a folder in our email.
Yeah. A newsletter is really about collecting email addresses so you have direct contact to your customers, right?
I guess. How do you monetize that, though?
Well, by having something to sell.
Yeah. I'd like to announce a new range of AI pins that people can wear in their home and their office.
Hawaiian shirts, Leo.
Hawaiian shirts. It could be the next big thing.
Yes.
Actually, because of tariffs, these Hawaiian shirts are no longer a good deal. They went from being $60 each to $75. They're made in Mexico.
Why? Because Hawaii has a 75% tariff.
They're not. They're Mexican Hawaiian shirts. They're from San Miguel de Allende. But I love them, and I'm going to continue to buy them. Yeah, well, we'll see. There's certainly a lot of, and especially in our sphere, the tech journal, a lot of companies folding, going out of business, disappearing. And non-tech, which went out of business a little while ago, at least kept their content online for a while. Now, they're just referring it to the forums. You can't get to the old and non-tech articles. It's just depressing as hell.
Yeah. That's why I embraced what is it called? What the heck is my blog site called Post Haven, I believe it's called.
Oh, you still use Post Haven?
I learned about it from you, Leo. But
because back in the day, it was a Y Combinator startup called Posterous, and the whole point of it, I used it in 2009 when we were in China, and I couldn't tweet or anything, but I could still use email because they can't block email. So I would email it to Posterous, which would then syndicate it everywhere else.
That's right.
Facebook and Twitter. And
yep, that was great.
They got sold or went out of business.
New thing is that they will keep your content. They promise to keep your content online until the end of time, even if you stop subscribing, even if you stop being a customer. And so that's why I use it.
Their tagline is Post Haven is the blogging platform designed to outlive us.
Nice.
Yep. Wow. That's pretty cool. Yep. I don't know how they can promise that, but
yeah, I mean, it's who knows if they can keep that promise. But I've had so many publications that I've worked for just have it be washed away,
and it's gone. Yeah.
Most of the stuff that I've done in my career is available only at the Internet Archive.
Yeah, me too. Actually, come to think of it, except for the podcast,
we should all be making a donation to the Internet Archive.
Yeah,
yes,
I do.
Should.
I do. God bless them.
There's a new article I just put in the chat about Beehive, which I haven't read, so I can't verify that. But isn't Beehive everybody's?
That's the new hot new newsletter platform. It looks pretty good. A Ghost is another good choice because it's open source, but nobody's except Post Haven is making the promise to keep it forever. Is that like you buy a grave and then they promise to keep it clean for the rest forever, for eternity? Is it like that?
I've never bought a grave before, Leo.
I would not know.
I'm asking for a friend.
Okay.
Where's the best place to buy a grave site?
Yes.
They call it, what do they call it? There's something like eternal. There's a name for it, like eternal something.
Yeah, I know.
Which story is it? The information story you're talking about?
Yeah. Where
is Beehive the next $1 billion startup?
And they have hit 30 million in ARR, but their fees start at $43 a month if you just have 1,000 subscribers, which would be problematic since Substack only takes a 10% cut. So like it's the ramping up and scale, I guess, that is the difference, that Beehive doesn't compete with Substack.
Yeah, they talk about Oliver Darcy, who left CNN to start a newsletter, which I don't know, on the face of it, probably doesn't seem like a good career move. He's making $1 million a year.
Yeah.
85,000 subscribers. Not all of them pay, but enough to, he says, have $1 million in annual recurring revenue. I don't know. Maybe I should do a newsletter. I don't know. You say I have this weird thing that you should, if you do something like that, there should be some value in it for the reader. Maybe that's a flaw in my thinking. I don't know. But then I have to come up with it, right? Well, what can I put in there?
No, Leo, we've been telling you AI can do this.
Let AI do it.
If you don't care about the product,
just add AI to the slop.
Yes,
I'm part of the problem. We will later in this week have Scott Wilkinson's Home Theater Geek for our club members. I hope he will review the annual Value Electronics TV Shootout and LG OLED TV's last place finish. Nilay Patel, who was one of the judges, writes about it at The Verge. I won't tell you who won. I don't want to ruin Scott's Home Theater Geek. If you're a club member, watch for that. When is it? I have to check, see when it's coming up. But I think sometime this week we're going to do tomorrow at 12 noon. So, no, that can't be right. Yeah, Monday. It says every Thursday, but tomorrow's a Monday.
So that's when they do the live recording, but then
he puts it out on Thursday.
It publishes on Thursday.
So if you're a club member, you can watch it and participate tomorrow at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. If you're not a club member, the audio will come out. But a show like that, you should really get the video. And for that, you need to be
the video will be on YouTube.
Not a member.
The video will be on YouTube.
Oh, really?
We publish the video to YouTube. Yes, on the.
Oh, I thought that was audio only.
Audio only on our site. Video on YouTube.
Okay. Well, there you go. I was going to say join the club, but I guess you don't need to.
We'll do that anyway.
Benito just saved you $10 a month. Comes right out of your paycheck, Benito. That's all I'm saying. We have a new, no, I'm kidding. We have a new national cyber director. This is actually, believe it or not, the first person confirmed by the Senate in the new Trump regime, the first Senate-approved cybersecurity official. Cairncross came from the Millennium Challenge Corporation, so he at least knows something about technology. And he will be responsible for cyber policy across all federal agencies. That's why I mention it on this show. That's a pretty important job. He said in a statement, as the cyber strategic environment continues to evolve, we must ensure our policy efforts and capabilities deliver results for our national security and the American people. Unfortunately, we're firing many of the people in the government cybersecurity infrastructure, but maybe Sean can turn that around. Is CISA even still a viable entity, Richard? It seems like we've let go of most of the people there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're still working. We haven't read all the stuff they already published, right? So that's what they're going to put out next. So
yeah. Well, there you go.
I hope there's enough functioning there. Those guys have been leading the charge for a long time.
Very, very important. That's right.
It's one of the secrets that I think a lot of the world has forgotten about it. The U.S. consistently led in these areas. They just do it so well, they don't have to talk about it.
Yeah. Oh, I've decided I'm not going to get into newsletters. I'm going to do podcasts. This from Bloomberg Weekend. How podcast-obsessed tech investors made a new media industry. Oh, that's who did it. Well, thank you. We appreciate your hard work on our behalf. They're probably talking about shows like All In, which recently hosted both the president and vice president, or TBPN. Apparently, I didn't know this, there are a number of new podcasts hosted by not tech journalists like you and me, but by former venture capitalists.
Yeah, people want some of it to rub off of them, and by some of it, I mean some of their money, right? Because
when I listen to All In, it really is often like, well, I was in Japan,
yeah, right.
And I found a sushi place that no one knows about. It's kind of for rich people, but there is this aspirational thing, isn't there?
That's the whole model. So has always been like the Wall Street Journal's model, for example. 10% of their audience are movers and shakers, and 90% want to be movers and shakers, and so you subscribe, and that's what it's all about. So they don't want tech journalists crapping all over everything, being snarky and
yeah, we're not so positive about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
According to Bloomberg, the seeds of today's podcasting boom were planted in 2020.
I thought that was such a ridiculous line.
We've been doing this for 20 years now, but no, in 2020, it all started. The early days of the COVID-19 pandemic. That March, a group of venture capitalists premiered the All In podcast, which would develop into the preeminent vehicle for insidery VC musings. What's interesting about All In, though? They don't have advertising. I guess they don't really need to, do they?
I was just thinking of the John Steinbeck line that every American is a temporarily embarrassed millionaire.
The same month, a startup called Clubhouse released an app for freeform audio broadcasting used by people like Oprah Winfrey, and funding from Andreessen Horowitz at a $4 billion valuation. Where is Clubhouse today? What happened to them?
Went well.
Still kicking. They raised enough money. Look, here, one of the things is not to poop on anybody that I might want to talk to anytime soon. But look, there are shows like the Dorkish Patel podcast, or the Eric Torenberg network of podcasts that would pop up, and then you'd be like, wait, how did all of a sudden they get Sam Altman on their show overnight? And it
makes me so jealous because I can't get these people. It just makes me crazy.
This is my point, is that there is a network of folks that are like, well, these are shows that are friendly. And so
they're willing to be on it because they're not going to get the tough questions.
I'm not even saying that. What I am saying is that these are friends of ours, and the chats go out, the emails.
They're our
go
buddies.
out.
They're in the same industry, right? They're VCs. They're entrepreneurs. They're startup people. Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and this is
they're our peers.
This is something that especially folks at A16Z have been talking about for years. Go direct. So they tried that thing called Future that Sono was the head of, and things like that. And they wanted their own media brands, but what they decided, I guess, folks in the VC sphere, was that you don't need to necessarily create your own brand. You just need to have your stable of folks that.
Well, it works, and people do listen to it, right? The numbers are good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really not that unusual. I mean, if you look at the celebrity podcasts,
sure,
Smartless and Conan O'Brien and Friends, a bunch of actors and comedians talking about acting and comedians.
And you get your.
I was
going to
do a true crime podcast on Twit, but then they went up. Then that was over. So
yeah, and somebody stole your idea. You could have done the first episode on that.
Your point is exactly right. Like, let's take it out of tech. So, like the Conan O'Brien thing, or Smartless.
That's actually a good show. I enjoy that.
It's fantastic.
But both of those are like they sold for hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever, because it's like, well, you're a celebrity in a sphere.
They have
you get your friends
platform
to come on,
yeah,
right. And so,
although it irritated me a couple of weeks ago, Conan had Mark Maron on, who is now retiring from his very good podcast, and Conan said, "You started this whole thing."
No.
And I thought, no, he didn't. No. He started in 2009. Where you?
Yeah.
I think he meant comedian podcasts.
Oh, is that what he meant?
Yeah, because for Conan, because like that's Conan's lineage, right?
That's all that matters, right? To me, comedian podcasts. Yeah.
No mention of Adam Curry or.
No, that's all right. You know what? I'm being facetious. I don't want credit for anything. It's all silly.
You were the first.
Let's take
you're
one
the
more
first
break.
VTuber, Leo, for sure. You're the first VTuber.
I was the first virtual reality character on the site in 1998, and I won an Emmy for it in real-time 3D virtual reality character. And Mark Zucker, and I had legs, by the way.
In 1998.
Back in 1998, and I had legs. All right, it's silly to look for that kind of credit. I'm just happy we're still here after 20 years. I feel very fortunate that we've got to do this for so long. We are going to wrap things up in just a bit. One more commercial before we go, and some final stories, including a story that Richard put in, and Brian says he has something to say about. So that'll be coming up in just a second. But first, a word from our sponsor, US Cloud. Love these guys. They are. What would you think if I said US Cloud? You'd think they were a cloud company, right? Well, no. Although, sort of, they're actually the number one Microsoft Unified Support replacement. We've been talking about them for a few months now. US Cloud is the global leader in third-party Microsoft support for enterprises. They support 50 of the Fortune 500. And there's a good reason for it. Switching to US Cloud saves them and can save your business 30 to 50% over Microsoft Unified and Premier support. Not just less expensive, better support. Faster, at least, 2 times faster in the average time to resolution versus Microsoft. Also, I think the best experts, they make a concerted effort to bring in the best engineers with an average of 16 years working on Microsoft products with break, fix, and like that. These guys are the pros from Dover. They really are smart. But now they're going to live up to their name because US Cloud has another thing they're doing that's really good. They're excited to tell you about a new offering, something I don't see Microsoft offering, saving money on Azure. I don't think that's in their interest. US Cloud, it's in their interest. They call it their Azure Cost Optimization Service. Saving on Azure is easier than you might think, thanks to US Cloud. They offer an 8-week Azure engagement. It's powered by VBox. It identifies key opportunities to reduce costs across your entire Azure environment. Now, you're going to get that expert guidance from US Cloud's senior engineers. Yeah, the same guys who have an average of over 16 years with Microsoft products. Really smart people. At the end of the 8 weeks, you're going to get a full interactive dashboard that will tell you where you have rebuild opportunities, downscale opportunities, even VMs that are just completely unused. And after a while, that happens, right? Now you can reallocate your precious IT dollars towards needed resources. Why spend money on something you're not using? Although I may make a recommendation, you could also keep the savings going by investing your Azure savings in US Cloud's Microsoft support. That's what a few other US Cloud customers have done, completely eliminating their unified spend. So the savings just keep on coming. Ask Sam. He's the technical operations manager at Bede Gaming, B-E-D-E. He gave US Cloud 5 stars, saying, quote, "We found some things that have been running for 3 years." He was using this Azure engagement for 3 years, which no one was checking. These VMs were, I don't know, 10 grand a month, not a massive chunk in the grand scheme of how much we spend on Azure. But once you get to $40,000 or $50,000 a month, it really starts to add up. Yeah, I think so. It's simple. Stop overpaying for Azure, identify and eliminate Azure creep, and boost your performance all in 8 weeks with US Cloud. Visit uscloud.com and book a call today to find out how much your team can save. That's uscloud.com. Book that call today and get faster Microsoft support for less. uscloud.com. We thank him so much for supporting This Week in Tech. You remember, some of you are old enough to remember 1999 and the Y2K bug. I was at Tech TV at the time, and we were on call. We were thinking at midnight we were all going to have to come in and talk about how the ATMs are down all over the country and the whole planes are coming out of the sky, and nothing, right? Nothing happened. Well, get ready, because the next apocalypse is coming up. You know this, Richard, in 2038, the Y2038 bug, or the Unix apocalypse.
Counting by seconds since 1970, and then it
they're going to run out. They're going to run out of seconds because they use 60-bit numbers to represent it. I'm sorry. Yeah, they use 32-bit, and that's going to run out. Because you know, so 2038. So Debian has announced, which is one of the probably the most popular Linux distributions. If you consider the fact that Ubuntu is based on Debian, a lot of Pop OS is based on Debian, a lot of downstream distributions start with Debian. They've announced they're going to switch to 64-bit time now, starting with Trixie, Debian 13. Yay! They've got 15 years.
It's a simple solution, and it now bumps the number out to the end of the universe.
That seems enough. You never know, though.
That should do.
Seems enough. I hope that this is really proactive of them. I hope that other
Linux the issue is
Unix
what have you stored in your database, which was the real problem with the Y2K bug too, right? It's what we stored in our databases was 2 digits.
Right.
So if you've stored 32-bit time fields, that's not going to fix it. You're going to have to convert them all to protect them.
0314 UTC on January 19th, 2038. The number of seconds elapsed since the Unix epoch, January 1st, 1970, will be larger than can be represented by a signed 32-bit integer. That means you only get really 31 bits. It would be fine, writes the Register, if the decision had been made in 1970 to store all the numbers of seconds in exactly that format. So anyway, you'll be glad to know.
And by the way, Debian's by far not the first to do this. Like BSD's been like this for years. Like you had a choice between a 32 or a 64. Like
is Android? That's going to be the question, because that's probably the most used Linux derivative, right, out there. Anyway, we'll see. But one of the reasons it's important is because Debian is often used on servers that don't get updated, or they use the long-term service version of it. And I did for a long time when I wanted a stable server, use Debian because it's rock solid. So those are the ones that really could be problematic. So do it.
I wonder if engineers, when they were developing this, predicted it. They would have known the date, right? They could have figured that out.
Oh, yeah.
And
think back. This was when Unix was created by Dennis Ritchie and
1970. Yeah.
Brian Kernahan. Think back to 1970. Did they think that this operating system would still be used 68 years into the future?
The original flavor of Cobalt stored years as a single digit because they didn't think they'd use it till 1970.
10 years? Who would? Nobody's going to be using this software 10 years from now.
In the future, they're going to have AI that will just do everything for them. And people will have jetpacks. Well, we have the AI.
Yeah, where are our flying cars? So,
and by the way, I bought a house on the back of Y2K.
Did you really? Were you involved in that?
I made so much money, man.
So were you one of those old timer COBOL guys called in off the golf course?
No, I was fixing D-Base apps, man.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, we fixed it. That first when the Fed came down and said you're not a bank anymore if you can't pass July 1st, 1999, the coffers opened up, and that 6 months of 99, I worked continuously and I bought a house.
Y2K was pretty good for me too. I basically did, it was 5 years leading up to that where I was on TV all the time. I made VHS tapes explaining it. I did this whole tour going to businesses and explaining it. So
it kind of ruined my New Year's Eve 1999 because I had to be on call.
Mine too. Yeah. We had written the software for the Port of Vancouver and the Port of Halifax that controlled the container, specifically the safety systems for containers. And so they wanted us to be available if it failed.
Well, really, it's a success story because it would have failed if people hadn't been very proactive and fixed the software.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, Richard. If you didn't do that work, what would have happened?
Yeah, it's a great question. We don't know the answer to that. In the end, we had fixed the port software long before that and had trialed it, but they were nervous. The ops were nervous and they pay us a lot of money. And so the good news is Halifax is 4 hours ahead of Vancouver. So by 9 o'clock my time,
you knew.
They said, we'd already rolled over an hour. Nothing had happened. You can go out now.
I'm sure, Mike, one of the questions you were answering was ATM machines because none of the ATMs were prepared to handle it. And the outcome would be unpredictable.
Right. Yeah. That was the whole thing. But we were also reassuring people that airplanes won't fall out of the sky.
Yeah.
But other crazy things we're not thinking of might happen, and nothing of any major.
All the dams was decided to open.
Yeah. The banks were afraid because if the reconciliations failed for even a day, it's billions.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Just in terms of the cleanup is huge. And so it was just, we had to run through this trial. The Fed invented this trial. It was a smart trial. And we got through it.
I hope that people aren't sitting back and saying, hey, by 2038, AI will be here. It'll fix it all.
Yeah.
I hope
Debian's not the first to the table on this. Lots of folks have worked on this problem. Good. It's solved. It's good.
It's well known. We know it's going to happen. It's not a surprise.
And so, if you're using a contemporary version of MySQL, contemporary version of Postgres, contemporary version of Maria, any of those databases store 64-bit numbers, store 64-bit timestamps. And now if you're using Debian, you can do that too.
So why is Lena Khan, the former head of the FTC under the Biden administration, tweeting celebratory posts about Figma's IPO?
She blocked Adobe.
Oh, because Adobe was going to buy Figma
for $20 billion.
Yep.
Oh, and Figma went off at $68 billion after the pop.
Current market cap. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what she's saying is a ridiculous stretch, and she shouldn't have blocked it in the first flipping place. Those guys were willing to take it on. It was good for everybody, and now they're building a competitor. And
I don't know why Lena Khan would be celebrating. I made a lot of money for the Figma shareholders by blocking the merger.
Well, but
is it good for America? Is the question.
I'm not arguing her point, but read the quote where if a company is allowed to be independent longer, it's more valuable. Yes. And even if I disagree with her politically, I don't know that I disagree with that for various reasons as a investor or a tech industry.
Bigger argument here is, why did the Figma IPO go well?
Well, that's what I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go, Richard?
It's the most interesting part of the story. I think this is AI fatigue. I think folks were looking for something to invest in. It wasn't AI.
I think my take on this is that this is the most bullish thing that I've seen since the sort of tech crash post-COVID, in the sense that I would argue that it is a nominal AI play, like everything is these days, where you can, like Adobe's an AI play, Canva's an AI play because you have those AI tools and whatever. But this is a SaaS company. It tripled or almost tripled on an IPO pop. Those are, .com sort of era things. After what happened with CoreWeave and all this stuff, like, I think tech IPOs are back on the menu. Like, if you're Canva, you have been spending the last 5 days talking to your bankers and preparing your IPO. If you're Stripe, shouldn't you be maybe taking advantage of this? Here's what I put the history hat on one more time. When it's a bull market for tech IPOs, it's not just that people can achieve their valuations. They're achieving valuations after pops that you'd be stupid not to line up for. Like, so, Figma could have raised 3 times the money they raised. And so when you see people seeing that you can get pops like this, if you're a Stripe, the amount of money that you can raise after your IPO is the thing that you can't turn away from. So, sorry, I was pontificating for a long time, Richard, but like, my overall point is, like, more than anything else, I think this is the IPO that says we might be back at the races for at least the near term.
You agree? Yeah.
I want to hear what Mike says.
I have no idea.
I'll tell you what Paul Graham says. So Lena Khan tweets, a great reminder that letting startups grow into independently successful businesses rather than be bought up by existing giants can generate enormous value. A win for employees, investors, innovation, and the public. To which Paul Graham says, startups are risky. Sometimes when you keep rolling the dice, things turn out well, sometimes not. But founders should be able to decide for themselves when to stop. He's saying, you should have let it happen. You should have let the acquisition happen.
Is he saying that?
Yes. Because, of course, if everybody knew, you're going to be worth, so much more if you just hang on for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Then, well, if they knew that in hindsight, yeah, okay. But they didn't know that.
I'm reading that as him saying that, like, that shouldn't. Okay,
the government. I think he's saying government should not step in. Founders should be able to decide whether they want to.
I was taking too narrow a point on that because they took the deal, and they almost got lucky. Right. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think they should give Lena Khan at least $5.
So the question is, what is Figma going to do with the money? I mean, the reason you go public is that you need to raise enough money that no individual investor can afford it or no group of investors can afford it. So you go to the public markets, you raise a larger amount of money. Do you have an idea big enough that you need that much money?
Oh, but Richard, we're talking about two different things. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about what is it? They're valued at like 55 times sales or something like that. Like, I think only Palantir is valued more than them on the stock market. Look, the point is that if you are a Stripe or, like, let's say God forbid, like a Perplexity or one of these AI companies was ballsy enough to try an IPO, like, that's when you'll know you'll be back in the .com era. If one of these pure play AI companies takes a run at it in the next 6 months, that's when we'll know we're really back in the crazy days.
And Figma is certainly not a pure play AI company.
It's not.
Close. It's a design company, right?
And they could also be bought by Adobe still, just now in the public markets, right? Like, there's always a question of what this actually looks like. The bottom line is, do you have a mission sufficient to keep your shareholders happy?
But I'm arguing that it doesn't matter at a time when the public markets are like, hey, just give us anything. We want to invest it.
Yeah, no, so you're betting on irrationality, which, irrationality passes.
Yeah,
and
but hey.
Let's be fair. And by the way, Ms. Khan, you probably shouldn't post this kind of thing on X because you're only going to get people who disagree with you. But let's be fair. The people who made the money were the investment bankers who were able to get in at the start price and then able to sell at the pop price.
And
Because
they
as
were
Bill
all the
Gurley-
big players.
Bill Gurley pointed out they left like they could have raised 3x had the bankers not priced it
Priced
the way
it at
they
$30.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what bankers like to
That's
do.
another bullish sign. That's an argument that we used to hear all the time in the old days that we haven't heard for a very long time. So
Well, who should go public next?
I said Stripe,
Stripe?
Yeah.
Perplexity?
Figma. Yeah.
We know no acquisition will be blocked unless you're unkind to the president.
Seriously,
Then all bets are off.
like this would be again, I'm looking at this from the Silicon Valley perspective, the investor perspective. If you want to get back to the go-go days of things are insane, if a Perplexity in the next 12 months floated an IPO and was successful, then all bets are off because then
It's a
It's
cascade.
definitely a great time to jump now. You've just smacked SPACs in the face. You can IPO successfully.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't mean it's rational, but sometimes irrationality is profitable.
That's why we have the $300 a month paywall behind this show, because we're making you money, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no, we don't. We should, but we don't. No. You're listening to this show absolutely free, unless you're a member of the club, in which case I thank you profusely. If you're not a member, it is now 25% of our operating expenses. It makes a big difference to us. Plus, you get a lot of benefits, including, of course, ad-free versions of all the shows. twit.tv/clubtwit. We would love to have you in the club.
And you get a newsletter.
We actually offer a free newsletter. People say, well, how do you know what's coming up on the, in the club in the next week? Well, just subscribe for free at twit.tv/newsletter. And stay tuned for Leo's private Make You Money newsletter.
Your newsletter should just be all of those things that you're wearing around your neck, the summaries that you're getting of your
It's pretty
day
funny. I have blogged it a couple of times.
should be the newsletter on a daily basis. Yes.
Yep.
I should do a newsletter. I'll do a newsletter. I'll think about it. Maybe I'll get Lex to write it for me. Thank you, Mike Elgin. Hope you have a wonderful time in Oaxaca. I'm so jealous. The best food, the best people. It was just a party. And what a cute little town. It's so great.
It's beautiful.
I got to sign up for one of these. This my kind of
Richard, it highly encouraged that you do that. Plus, a lot of the people who are there are Twit listeners. So you're going to be in a good company, smart people.
Fun.
It's a lot of fun. And of course, we still will mention Hello Chatterbox, your son's startup, even though he's now gone to the Coggy search engine. We'll interview his boss on Wednesday.
Yep.
Hello Chatterbox, great way for kids in school and others to learn about AI in a safe environment.
That's right. It's very important now more than ever. And so I thank you for that plug. And also my newsletter, Machine Society. I'd love to plug that if you don't mind, Leo. Please sign up. I actually happy that you have the free version. I have a paid version. The difference is very slight. So my philosophy is that
pay.
Free newsletter
make Mike a rich man.
A really good newsletter, and then the paid one is a little bit more stuff occasionally.
Yeah, MachineSociety.ai. It is excellent. I read it every day. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you to Brian McCullough. The Tech Brew Ride Home. Just go to ridehome.info?
Yeah.
And, you'll find out about the new Tech Brew Ride Home. But if you're already a Ride Home subscriber, don't worry. It's still in your inbox each and every day.
Stuff. Yeah.
Thank you so much to talk about. It's a good time to be a podcaster, isn't it, Brian? The riches are flowing, aren't they?
When has it
Brian?
ever been a bad time?
And my good friend Richard Campbell, who'll be podcasting with me on Wednesday on Windows Weekly, and of course every week at runisradio.com and .net Rocks. Thank you, Richard. I'm glad. I mean, it was very nice of you to get off the boat early and be here with us.
I wanted to go home anyway. You've seen the view out here, dude. Why would I leave?
I know
this,
you.
right?
Oh my God, look at that. Yeah. It's a beautiful day in Madeira Park, British Columbia.
So we sailed the other way this morning. Past
would you have seen the boat go by if you had been? Oh wow, that's cool. That's really cool. So, did you wave as you went by? Say, "Hey, there's our house.
There goes."
Thank you to all of you who watch and participate. I do this. This is a look, Mike.
It's a good
a look.
It's a good look.
It's a look.
I get a little Kim Jong Un vibe.
I don't know what's going on. I need a fade if I'm going to do that.
Yeah, there you go.
This is the show where we cover the week's tech news every week with a fabulous rotating panel of hosts. We're glad you watch. You can watch us live, of course, or after the fact. Subscribe, but do watch. We've been doing it for 20 years, and I'm very happy to keep doing it for another 20 years. The good Lord willing, and the creeks don't rise. We'll see you next time. Another twit is in the can. Bye-bye.
Amazing.